Bonjour à tous, merci d'être là, que vous soyez en ligne ou ici en présentiel pour notre conférence partenaire 2022, Apogee 2022. Donc on va pouvoir aujourd'hui partager la vision, la direction de la société avec nos responsables. Donc on va avoir l'opportunité d'avoir un peu une vision sur le futur. Si vous êtes en ligne, pour ceux qui sont en ligne, un petit service à vous demander si vous pouvez allumer vos cams. On vous fera un petit clin d'œil tout au long de la journée. Si vous êtes en présentiel, donc c'est vous qui êtes là, vous avez dans vos sacs ou sur les chaises un petit papier pour les questions qu'il y aura plus tard. Donc si vous voulez préparer vos questions pour la suite, ça nous aidera. Et puis si vous êtes en ligne, vous pouvez poser directement vos questions dessus. Alors j'ai ma petite anti-sèche parce qu'on m'a demandé 3 choses à dire et je vais en oublier la moitié, donc forcément, et la moitié de 3, c'est pas évident. Vous avez également les casques pour les traductions, puisqu'on va avoir des présentations en anglais. Mettez le canal 1. Okay, le canal 2 est en anglais, mais si vous mettez le casque avec le canal 2, enlevez-le, ça ne sert à rien. Aujourd'hui, c'est la première session. Demain, il y a une session purement en ligne, technique. Donc, si vous êtes technique et que vous voulez y assister et que vous n'êtes pas encore inscrit, faites-le. Ça sera purement avec les responsables produits. Donc là, aujourd'hui, on va avoir donc l'opportunité de parler des produits, bien sûr, de la direction de WatchGuard, des innovations technologiques vers lesquelles on va aller. Donc c'est vraiment l'occasion pour vous de voir et de poser les questions par la suite. On aura dans l'agenda un panel à la fin où on reviendra tous pour pouvoir répondre à toutes vos questions en ligne ou ici. Donc préparez tout ça. Et puis on va beaucoup parler innovation, beaucoup parler de haute technologie, d'IA. Et quand on frôle ces technologies-là, c'est à se demander parfois si on n'est pas proche de la magie. Et c'est pour ça que je vais accueillir Sam de Magic Tech, qui va commencer pour cette conférence partenaire. Sam.
Bonjour à tous, vous allez bien? Alors vous allez voir que durant cette session, durant cette journée, on va passer des messages importants. Qui dit message important dit attention maximale. Levez la main si vous pensez être attentif dans la vie. Ok. On dort ou on n'est pas honnête? On est honnête justement. Ouais, peut-être, exactement. Alors avant de commencer, on va faire un test d'attention. Mettez les mains comme cela. Attention, là c'est les petites, je vois tout le monde, même au fond là-bas. On est bon? Les mains comme cela, c'est un test d'attention, les mêmes gestes que moi. On y va? C'est parti. Bon, apparemment, chacun son rythme. On y va, on est une team, on est un groupe. Super, les mêmes gestes que moi. C'est pas grave. Je vous l'avais dit, c'est un test basé sur l'attention pour ceux qui avaient levé la main. On va continuer quand même. Vous allez mettre les mains vers le bas. Jusque-là, il n'y a pas de piège. On bouge les doigts de la main droite. Oui, un piège, je suis à l'envers. La droite qui bouge va au-dessus de la gauche. Jusque-là, on m'a suivi, on se serre les mains, on a tous fait ça une fois dans notre vie. Un petit peu plus haut les mains quand même, un peu de courage. Et on fait 3 fois vers le haut. 1 fois, 2 fois et 3 fois. Si tout le monde a été attentif, vous devriez pouvoir faire cela sans lâcher les mains. Non, bon, l'attention, on va reparler quand même. Alors, maintenant que l'attention est maximale, c'est vrai que le digital et le mobile ont changé nos vies. Si le digital et le mobile ont changé nos vies, imaginez comment la convergence des nouvelles technologies comme l'IA, la robotique, les objets connectés vont changer notre futur. Pepper, tu pourras peut-être dire bonjour à tout le monde, ça serait sympa.
Bonjour les amis.
Ouais. Et moi je suis là, si tu veux bien.
Salut Sam, tu as besoin de moi?
Ouais, tu voudrais bien qu'on leur fasse une petite démo autour de l'IA, tu veux bien?
Avec plaisir, mais les deux du fond me regardent bizarrement.
Ah, qui ça?
Pas la peine de vous cacher, je vous vois.
Eh oui, effectivement, peut-être qu'ils ont peur de toi. Tu sais que l'intelligence artificielle peut faire peur. C'est vrai, l'humain est comme ça, il a peur d'être remplacé dans sa fonction. Ouais, c'est ça. Et vous savez pourquoi? Il y a 3 raisons principales par rapport à ça. La première raison, C'est dans le cinéma, on a vu des robots sympas et pas sympas. Tu peux montrer un robot sympa, celui qui a rassuré tout le monde?
Bonjour, je suis
Vous le connaissez celui-là?
Relation humaine.
Levez la main
c'est
si
bon.
vous connaissez? Ouais.
Y a-t-il pour
Frappez,
votre
oh.
service?
Ça, c'est celui qui nous a rassurés sur l'IA. Un autre robot un peu moins sympa, 1984, ça vous parle? Hein, ça frappe. Oui. Sarah O'Connor, non. La porte à côté. Ouais, on se rappelle de ça. Hein. Alors, c'est vrai que si un jour Skynet ou une IA forte arrivait, on pourrait dire que nos chances de survie seraient de...
R2 dit que les chances de survie sont de 1 sur 725.
Oui, mais ça n'arrivera jamais, car l'homme est en contrôle de ce qu'il fait, comme il a... D'accord, ok. En même temps, un deuxième facteur, c'est qu'on a vu des faits marquants. Il y a 25 ans, pratiquement exactement, Kasparov battu par Deep Blue aux échecs. 1 point pour l'IA. Eh ouais, ça nous a surpris. À l'époque, on pensait, au New York Times, qu'on serait battu au jeu de Go pas avant 100 ans. Moins de 20 ans après, battu encore au jeu de Go par AlphaGo et AlphaGo 0. On a vu l'IA arriver dans le domaine de l'art. Tu peux leur montrer un petit... Ça surprend. L'intelligence artificielle arrive dans nos qualités humaines. Ça peut faire peur, non? Alors, on va arriver maintenant à une expérience entre tech et trick, entre technologie et magie. On est bon? Je vais demander à Pascal de me rejoindre pour cette expérience. Très bien, Pascal. Il est au courant de rien. On va s'amuser un petit peu avec toi, Pascal. Je recule un petit peu Pepper. Alors, Pepper, est-ce que tu pourrais saluer avant de faire ta démo, s'il te plaît? C'est bien. D'habitude, on l'applaudit, mais vous avez raison. On prend son temps. Écoute ce que te dit Pepper, c'est elle qui va te faire le tour. J'ai un petit souci de micro, mais ça va aller. Tiens, écoute ce qu'elle te dit.
Pense à un chiffre entre 0 et 9.
Pense à un chiffre entre 0 et 9. Ne le dis pas. Tu l'as en tête? Souvent, les gens prennent 7. Tu peux changer. Mais si tu as 7, tu peux le garder comme tu veux. Écoute bien, Pepper, c'est elle qui fait le job maintenant.
Regarde-moi dans les yeux. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Pepper, est-ce que tu pourrais écrire le chiffre?
J'ai trouvé ton chiffre. Facile.
Allez, facile. Quel était le chiffre que tu avais en tête?
9.
Ah mince, j'avais dit 7, souvent les gens disent 7, tu as dit 9. Elle a fait un 9. On ne critique pas l'écriture, c'est un 9. Vous n'êtes peut-être pas au fond? Ouais, monsieur, exact. Alors, on pourrait aller un petit cran plus loin et finalement, l'intelligence artificielle, biologique, avec nos qualités humaines et singulières, collaborative dans l'entreprise, pour pouvoir mettre un cerveau et faire additionner les cerveaux de l'entreprise, on pourrait faire fusionner tout ça. Tu es prêt à te connecter avec un robot? On y va. J'ai un petit cadeau que je n'avais pas donné à la régie, mais c'est pas, ça fait rien, vous inquiétez pas, ils ont peur là-bas. Ça va aller?
Ouais.
T'es pas cardiaque?
Non, mais ça va.
On est bon?
Ça va me décoiffer, quoi.
Non, il y a un petit côté gallo-romain, vous trouvez pas? Alors écoute bien ce qui va se passer. Pour YouTube, c'est maintenant. Pour les photos, allez-y.
Ouais.
Pour ceux qui connaissent Pascal, qui l'ont pas vu, on peut y aller.
Ouais, attention à vos remises. Hein.
Allez, on y va. Quand je vais claquer les doigts, écoutez bien l'expérience, ça va durer 2 minutes. Quand je vais claquer les doigts, tu devras fermer les yeux et te concentrer sur ce que tu ressens.
Okay.
Les bras le long du corps, s'il te plaît. Si je te touche l'épaule gauche, tu diras rien, tu te rappelleras que tu t'es touché l'épaule gauche. D'accord? Si je te touche 2 fois le poignet gauche, tu diras rien, mais tu te rappelleras de 2 infos. 1, que c'était le poignet gauche. 2e info, que c'était 2 fois. D'accord? Okay. On va juste les applaudir. Tu peux saluer comme Pepper va montrer. Vous allez les applaudir. On va commencer tout de suite. Regarde bien. Allez, Pepper, elle te montre l'exemple. Vas-y, test de connexion. Vas-y, Pascal. Voilà.
Ça bouge.
Si je te demande de lever la main dans l'expérience, la main gauche, il faudra lever la main comme Pepper te montre. D'accord? On est bon?
On est bon.
On y va. Quand je claque les doigts, tu fermes les yeux, tu te concentres sur ce que tu ressens. D'accord? Tu ne dis rien. Tu réponds juste à mes questions. On y va? On va voir s'il a écouté. Si je vous ai touché tous les deux, levez la main gauche. Si vous avez senti quelque chose. Ouvre les yeux. T'es prêt? On recommence. Ferme les yeux. Si je vous ai touché, levez la main gauche. Pepper, on recommence. Avec la main gauche, indiquez-moi combien de fois vous avez ressenti. Avec la main gauche,
2 fois,
continue. Avec la main gauche, montrez-moi à quel endroit je vous ai touché. Continue. Ne dites rien, ne dites rien. Pascal, tout va bien?
La pêche.
Ouais, t'as la pêche, ne dis rien. Si tu sens quelque chose, tu ne dis rien. Tu restes concentré, tu ne dis rien. À nouveau, si je vous ai touché ou si vous avez senti quelque chose, levez la main gauche. Baissez la main. Avec la main gauche, montrez-moi à quel endroit je vous ai touché. Ouvrez les yeux. On lui dit ou pas? Non. Pascal, je t'ai jamais touché. J'ai touché Pepper, pas toi. Bravo, on peut l'applaudir. Vraiment, il est au courant de rien du tout. Merci Pascal. Je tout ça et je te laisse la parole. Merci à tous.
C'était pas prévu ça. On va passer aux choses sérieuses et j'ai l'immense plaisir d'accueillir pour la présentation suivante Prakash Panjwani, le CEO de WatchGuard.
All right. So first of all, French to English back for a long time now, so get used to it. Plus, I cannot imitate that for sure, but we'll see. All right, but thank you. Welcome to Apogee 2022. It's first time back in 3 years for us, so it's just fun to be out in person more than anything else, to be honest. And always good to kind of start with Southern European team for us. We were Madrid last week, Paris today, so that's awesome way to get the partner season going for us. You know, it's been, as I said, 3 years, and 3 years is a long time. It is a long time. And last time we were together, Mark Romano still looks the same. You could see him later, but he's still the same. But we were all over the world. I think there is Puerto Rico for America's conference. There's Vietnam somewhere. There is Croatia somewhere as well. But a lot of in-person events, though, 3 years ago, had no idea, obviously, what was about to happen in 2020. And it was March of 2020 when we did our biggest acquisition ever, Panda Security out in Spain. And the whole plan was that we did that in March, we're going to close in June and do a huge partner event. None of that actually happened, but we adjusted quickly. And if you look at it, I mean, we connected in a lot of different ways with different people. And you could see that how both, in terms of even partner events, didn't really slow down. A lot of virtual events, a lot of things that continued. And it's amazing to me how resilient people are, right? We as human beings, we are amazing at adjusting to almost anything. And I think that's what kind of 2020 and 2021 definitely proved. But also proved that we were ready to get back on the road, for sure. The other thing I personally learned, as a CEO of a company, you have an obligation, obviously, to your partners, to your customers, to your investors, but you also have an amazing obligation to your employees. And when you can't see them in person, you have to keep them entertained on a virtual setting. And the first time I did a virtual town hall, we had about 1,000 employees, 1,100 now, worldwide trying to connect, a lot of them new employees who joined us from Panda. And it was the first time it's okay, second time, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. You keep doing those virtual town halls, and you're by yourself, and it gets really boring for yourself. So I had to get entertaining going there as well. And I did a lot of things during the 2 years. And yep, that's me at the left too. After you see that picture, you'll never unsee it. That's the beauty of it. So 3 years, obviously, as I said, is a very long time. And it's a long time in technology industry, more than anything else. Right? So much has changed. When I look at WatchGuard, we have grown significantly. We have matured. There's just so much more in front of us than ever before. And even though there's a lot of tragedies and a lot of things that happened over the last 3 years, our growth and our strategy just kind of kept going in the background. So today, my goal is to kind of discuss some of that with you today. You'll hear some stories. You'll hear strategy. You'll hear market direction, where we think things are going. And you'll hear what some of our most successful partners have been doing for the last few years as well. So we've tried to condense all of that in the presentation today over the next couple of hours that will be with you on the presentation side. We'll also have the opportunity to do some Q&A at the very end. So every year at WatchGuard, we pick a theme. Even when we were virtual, we picked a theme. And the theme speaks to, at the moment, the mood of the company is one way to think about it, but also it speaks to how we think, what's the tone of the year should be for us. And Sean Price, who could not be here with you today, Sean is our head of global sales. It's his job to pick the theme. That's the one thing. He has to hit his numbers, but he has to hit the theme as well. And this year, when he came to us, usually we pick in October the year before, and he said, I have a theme for 2022. It's going to be the power of you. And my first reaction was, that's a lot of words, right? The power of you. There's a lot going on there. And my first feeling was around just the you, Y-O-U, you, and it's about somebody else. But then, when we dug deeper into the theme, it wasn't just the Y-O-U, it was also the you by itself. And the U, in this case, stands for unified, unparalleled, and unbeatable. And the reason that spoke to the company very much so is, unified is how we got here. And we'll talk about that journey in a minute. Unified strategy, unified vision, being that focus that you bring to the company. The unparalleled is the opportunity in front of us. And that is truly what I think we're going to focus majority of the time today. And then unbeatable actually comes back to the Y-O-U, the you, because it's about the people and how you execute against that strategy, the vision, but also the opportunity that is in front of us. So a really amazing team. It was very powerful. And we launched it across the company, and that's going to be the theme for us throughout the year. So let's talk about the 3 U's in more detail. And when you think about unified, and for me, unified took me back in time. I joined in 2015 as WatchGuard CEO. A little fact, just if you want to know, in about 1 month, I will become the longest serving CEO of the company. I'm very proud of that fact. But 7 years, we were essentially a firewall company, right? Just a UTM company. And if you think about our evolution over that time frame, we have transformed ourselves into a unified security platform. And it took intentional strategy, right? It took that intent to say, hey, we're going to go be something much bigger than we were and to kind of solve a much bigger problem in the security industry for that mid-market customers typically. But we did that while driving the platform, but we did that by keeping one thing completely focused and same. The one thing that has not changed about WatchGuard in that 7 years, and if anything, you'll see we have doubled down on that, is the fact that we're 100% focused on channel. And the biggest evidence you could probably get is when we acquired Panda, we made sure that everything was back through distribution and through channel as well. And to us, that is the one way we stood unified, because it allows us to execute towards a very single strategy and execute in a way that we know we can succeed, because you're reducing the variables that can actually be a challenge. And especially go-to-market can be a challenge for organizations. But for us, it has been our biggest strength. And that's what we have built the platform around. So that's what the unified got us here. When I think about the company's mission, and we think about kind of where we are kind of headed as well, the purpose is probably the best place to start, which is the why. If you read Simon Sinek, he's a great speaker and an author as well, and he has a book called The Why. And the why is so important, because everybody needs to know, why do we do some things, right? And for us, for WatchGuard, it has been true since it was founded. It's true now, and will be true in the future. Our why has always been about making enterprise-grade security accessible to mid-market. That's really what we stand for. That's what the original founder of the company, Chris Slatt, that's what he started with, and that's what makes us even viable today. What has changed is the mission. The mission has become more around making that security accessible through you, right? That has really been the focus of the company, and over the last few years, it's really making sure that we deliver security as a managed service, right? So how do we actually enable you as our partner network to deliver security to the end user as a managed service, because we think that's where the market's going. So everything we have done over the last 3 to 4 years especially has been built around that mission. And that's what has unified us as a company. And when you hear Andrew talk about the platform and our product strategy, to this date, that's what drives the execution day-to-day basis. And in the end, what we have built is a platform for you. I think we're very proud to tell everybody that even though we solve end-user problems, when we build products and services, we build it for the MSP and the partner community. And what that means is, of course, it starts by making sure you have the right services available to you. And when I talked about the intentional strategy to create a unified security platform, and from the day we joined forces, Andrew joined us about 6 months after I got to WatchGuard, the strategy was always, hey, we got to get network security, which obviously we had a great start on already with our firewall product. We have to have identity, and we have to have endpoint. Right? You cannot call yourself a platform if you don't have those three things. And so that's what we built, but it was built for you in the mind, and that's why we built WatchGuard Cloud as a place to manage all those services, and that's where they now coexist. And Andrew will get into that a little bit more. The part that's also very true, and there's a lot of work that we continue to do in this area, you'll hear more about it later today as well, it's not just about these services in one platform, it's about how they work with each other. It's about making security more efficient and to deliver. Because the one thing that none of us have, you or us, are unlimited resources, especially in the cybersecurity world. So how do you actually get the products to work so well in a way that you can actually reduce the cost of delivering security to the end user as well? And then ultimately, it's also about flexibility that we bring to you, right? And that's what we have kind of built this whole platform around, and it gives us an amazing foundation to keep driving things forward. But before I get to where we're going, what this has done for us is it has created an amazingly thriving partner community. And I use the word thriving because it's actually growing for us globally, but also it's very loyal, the way it's grown for us as well. And that's what I think definitely gives me goosebumps to just kind of look at this, and when we go to partner events, just to see that success. And today we stand here, we have over 17,000 partners in well over 100 countries. And what's interesting, a couple of stats just to give you, because of the broad-based partner base we have, we actually don't have partner concentration, right? So our top 50 partners don't even make up our 10% of our top line. And that just tells you that the way we have built the platform, it's truly for everybody. And that adoption varies regionally, as well as different type of partners as well who focus on different segments, and yet we're able to deliver the same platform through everybody, right? And that's what is great about what we have built. And even though we've expanded, we have added a lot of new partners over time, what's amazing, and this is my most proudest stat, I guess you could call, is that last year when we look at our top line, 50% of our billings came from partners who've been with us for 10 plus years. 10 plus years. That is unbelievable. I come from the security industry, that just does not happen. And to me, that just speaks to the loyalty that we have with each other, but also the fact that you're able to adapt new services as we have brought forward. And that's going to be our biggest opportunity as we move forward as well. And as the partner network has grown, so have we. We have tripled in size in 5 to 6 years now, right? That's just from any stat you look at, it's been just a proud achievement. The other part for us is because we have been adding around the platform, the different subscriptions, different services, endpoint, auth-point, all these services that have come together, we have become an extremely recurring revenue company, which I know is probably true for many of you. When you think of success, you probably think of kind of your recurring revenue, and that's just as we do as well. And today we stand at 85%, up from about 60, about just a few years ago. And then 20 consecutive quarters for us, double-digit ARR growth, right? So that's the consistency of our growth, the consistency in which through COVID, through the pandemic, we never looked back, and we continue to grow throughout that time frame. And then the final thing that we also focus on internally, and we drive towards it, is, which I'm sure many of you do as well, but it's about profitable growth. And internally we call it the rule of 40. And this audience will validate over here that I did not make this up. We actually also internally call it the Bordeaux blend, because it is the perfect blend of grapes, right? And if you think about in business, we call it the Bordeaux blend, which is how you're growing and what's your profit. If you add up the two percentages, if you can get to 40, you are an amazing company. You are a great Bordeaux. And that's what we are now. We were not that 4 or 5 years ago. And that gives you many options, right? If you can grow and be profitable, and the total of the two can be 40 or higher, just very, very few companies achieve it, and that allows us to scale and grow even faster. And that's led to probably the biggest news we have announced in the last several years now. And that was, which if you haven't seen it, is we announced very recently that Vector Capital, this was about 3 weeks ago, they were already a shareholder of the company, and they have now doubled down to take over the rest of the company as well. So they are becoming our majority shareholder. Huge, huge milestone. And when I think about that, it gives us a lot of leeway to do things, which I'll speak to in a second, but also speaks to an amazing endorsement of our strategy. Right? When you have a current investor who decides, you know what, instead of exiting, I'm actually going to go for even more. And to me, that has given us amazing confidence and boost to kind of drive things forward. But rather than hearing it from me, why don't you hear it directly from Sandy?
My name is Sandy Gill. I'm a managing director with Vector Capital and sit on the board of WatchGuard today. Vector Capital is a technology-focused growth equity and private equity firm based out of San Francisco. WatchGuard is an extraordinary business that has driven consistent innovation and growth, resulting in very strong financial returns to all investors, including us. Vector, we're intimately familiar with WatchGuard, the company, its employees, its partners, and its vision to be the security provider of choice to the MSP community. Specifically, we view WatchGuard as a compelling new investment opportunity, and we're both rolling our current stake in the company and committing significant new equity from our latest fund. There are two major market forces that WatchGuard is uniquely positioned to address. First, MSPs are the dominant and fastest growing source of cybersecurity delivery today. And second, the maturation of platform-based security offerings will dominate the security market. Vector believes that with accelerated investment in organic growth and M&A, WatchGuard is uniquely positioned to enable organizations of all types to access the power of advanced security capabilities like threat hunting, MDR, XDR, and SASE. We are so excited because MSPs represent the future of security delivery. But to be successful, they need a bespoke platform built for their needs. WatchGuard is uniquely positioned to lead the market in enabling those MSPs with its unified security platform. We are thrilled to continue the journey we started with WatchGuard over a decade ago and further invest in the company's mission to deliver security-focused MSPs, one vendor, one platform, and one vision to build their business upon.
All right. So as you heard from Sandy, right, which leads to the next part, the other you. You know, what we have in front of us is an unparalleled opportunity, and that's what they're investing behind. That's what we are actually investing behind for many, many years to come. And those are the two trends he talked about, right? The security delivery moving to the managed service providers, but also because of resource constraints, a lot of other things around it as well, for the security to be more efficient and effective in the way it's delivered. Definitely a shift towards platform vendors. And that's really what we are going to then invest behind with you in mind, right? That's what we're investing behind ultimately as a company. And when I think about, you know, when you may be thinking, okay, great, Sandy's obviously excited, but where is this money going to go? What are we investing behind? And there is really three big areas that we are really focused on at this point. The first thing is expanding our portfolio with continued M&A, right? It's very critical in this space. And when I meet so many companies out there, you know, one of the things that comes through all the time is security is highly innovative, right? People are always looking for better ways to solve the threats, but then they get stuck. They don't have a way to bring it to market. And I think that's where we exist. We can bring a lot of those technologies into our platform and then leverage our powerful network of channel partners to bring it to you and to bring it to the end users. The other part is, which Andrew will get into today, Mark will speak to it as well, and I'll speak to some of the sales investments as well. It's just the organic investment. You know, how do you accelerate the roadmap? How are some of the things we can prioritize even faster than we were doing before? And then one of the bigger things is as you grow a company, and we have grown significantly as you saw, you know, you have to also scale the back office. And back office can sometimes give people a headache, right? Because it's a necessity. It's not what you start with. But when you step back and you think about the back office, it's about creating a better experience for you and our customers, right? That's what we're investing behind. How do you have an ERP system so you can get to new licensing models faster? How do you integrate with other things faster? And I think that's really when we think about the back office, we're kind of keeping that in mind, and also to help us integrate new companies that we plan to acquire faster as well. So those are the areas of investment for us as we move forward. Now, one question I always get asked is the first bubble, which is the M&A, right? So just to give you insight into what we're focused on at this point, and when we think about just acquisitions, these are the categories that we're focused on. By far, the two largest buckets for us are the left two, which is looking for, which Andrew will get into, just the things that we want to add to the roadmap that are already on a list, how do we accelerate those? And we look for technology assets out there that we can bring in and get there faster than just doing it organically. And that includes XDR, you heard about SASE, and some of the other things around it that Andrew will touch upon. But the other area that's very critical for us is managed offerings. And this goes back to the resource constraint. And Andrew will speak to that when we think about one of the biggest challenges we have in the industry, as I said, is lack of resources. And what that means is that we have to think differently in how we actually deliver security to the end users. You might not all of us, you definitely cannot have SOC for everybody, right? So how do we, as a vendor, enable you to be even more powerful by us leveraging the platform and us providing some of those managed offerings so we can actually bring you to market even faster? So those are some of the very critical investments for us. But just a few things to keep in mind as we look at the roadmap for M&A as well is, first of all, it has to integrate into the platform, right? So one of the things we definitely, that's a commitment to you, that we don't want to create just products for everything, right? The whole point of WatchGuard is that we unify things into one platform to create a better experience. So that's our number one objective. The other part is it has to go through channel by definition because we're 100% channel focused. So the economics of whatever we bring into the platform has to make sense. And then finally, and this is a commitment from us to you as well, our goal isn't to become an island either, right? We will never be able to acquire everything that you have, right, in terms of the things you have to integrate with. So also maintaining a very open integration through APIs and product level and platform level APIs to make sure you can integrate your other applications into our platform as well. But ultimately, the final you, the unbeatable, comes down to people. And I have to say, I'm very proud of our team, right? We have grown significantly. And one thing I hear constantly about people is even when we acquired companies, the integration just goes smoother at the people level. And I think there's just something amazing about the culture of the company that kind of brings it together. I hope you experience it locally, right? And I think what you experience locally here with your team in France, I can assure you, we are the same way globally as well. And that's something we're very proud of, that culture. And when you think about culture and how you bring people together, it gets down to core values. And when I think of core values, you can have a unified mission and a vision. You can have a great strategy. But if you don't have core values, it's like you don't have a GPS to get to your destination. Because core values is what defines us as a company in the way we behave with each other and also the way we expect all WatchGuardians to behave with partner community and the external customers as well. And so we took the opportunity over the last couple of years. As you can imagine, it's been personally, and for a lot of folks, just a way to kind of rethink about life and what they are really thinking about, is we took a chance to just refresh our core values. You see them here, but also you can kind of read them here as well. You can hopefully find our website directly as well, these core values. And I thought I would just kind of give you a couple of examples for how these come together. Innovation, obviously, you heard Sandy talk about. It's something that we're always focused on because we're always driving new things into the platform for the mid-market and for the MSPs. And to me, that has driven our strategy and the growth for the last several years. But when you step back and you think about the individual things that are happening at the company as well, one of the things on a personal level I can tell you is that the last 2-3 years, has forced at least me to think differently about how I work with folks and what are the things that are important to me, and to become more intentional in everything we do. And intentional, something we have in the past shied away from, because we try to not touch upon the tough topics. And I think one of the things we have kind of forced people to do or think differently is to say, hey, think about what you could do differently to make the world and WatchGuard even a better place. And one of the things I thought I would touch upon is something we started actually before the pandemic, but it's just a great example of just taking off over the last couple of years, is it was an executive offsite that we did in 2019 in December. And at the end of one of the dinners, I'm just a few of us left from our team, and 3 women were my team. They're amazing women. Michelle, who runs our marketing, Sherry, whom many of you know runs our operations and customer support, and Erin, who supports the whole executive team. They were just sitting at the bar, sharing their experiences about corporate life. And it hit me in that moment that they experience corporate life so differently than I do, right? And I have over the years as well. And when you hear those experiences of these amazing women, and you kind of realize that, hey, we could do so much more with this. There's so many women who are up and coming in WatchGuard, but even elsewhere as well. And what we decided to do is create a peer network called Women of WatchGuard. It translates to WOW, which is amazing as well. But Women of WatchGuard, we started as just a peer group, and it's just taken off over the last 3 years, where women can share experiences, what works for them, and it just drives a tidal wave up, right, for everybody. And I just feel like that's what creates an amazing company, and we look for those opportunities wherever we can. But core values don't just stop with internal, right? It also is about how we behave with you. And one of the things I wanted to touch upon was accountability. And, when I think about, I said a lot has changed in the last 3 years. Security threats just are out of control, right? Those have escalated dramatically in the last 3 years. You always had ransomware attacks. They've been there for a long time. And especially I call them, they're not targeted sometimes. They're looking for the weakest link, so to speak. And the ransomware hits a lot of our customers and a lot of different folks in general. That's why we exist, to make sure we stop those things from happening. But what's escalated is targeted attacks now. And you've seen that against the vendors themselves, right? We're not immune to that either. Everybody has been kind of hit with different things that are very, very targeted. And what really, when I step back and think about it, it's not whether you're going to be hit. It's more about how you're going to respond. To me, that's really is when you think about the escalated world we live in. And that's really where accountability comes from our perspective. And one of the things that we have learned through that process, from what everybody has gone through and what we have gone through as well in that time frame, is a very simple statement, but it just makes a difference. Best practices matter. I think we always dismiss them sometimes because it's there, but then we're like, somebody will figure it out. But best practices matter. And for us as a vendor, best practices means constantly looking at our processes and how we deliver things, right? Our tools, everything that we do internally. Preparedness for response. If something happens, how do we respond? Do we have everything together, right? Are we prepared? How do we work with our internal community, our customer support team, with you, with our sales teams? And my commitment to you is that will continue. It will just get better and better, and there will always be, as we have been, 100% transparent on everything that we are observing as well. But you have an amazing role to play as well, right? It's about making sure that you're maintaining implementation of our security with your customers, right? Don't leave those ports open. Upgrade their firmware regularly, right? Let's not wait for 6 months to upgrade to the latest releases of our firmware. So these are some of the things that create an accountable culture, because I think when you step back, when the security threats are just increasing constantly, the end customers are going to look at you and us, the vendors and the partners together, and they're going to hold us accountable, for the investments they're making behind us to make sure they're protected. And we can't blame them when they're not protected, because it's our responsibility to kind of make sure that we help them and we protect them. So they're not going to know those best practices. We do. Let's make sure that we deliver those best practices and keep them secure as well. So finally, when I think of being unbeatable, it always comes back obviously to you, because you are 100% our way to market. We have no other way to market, right? So for us to be unbeatable, you have to be unbeatable in the market as well, against your competition and against our competition in the market as well. So when I think about what our top partners do really well, a few things come to mind. First, they standardize. This is a theme you'll hear a couple of times today, if not more. Standardizing on a stack, standardizing on how you go to market, standardizing on your approach to your customers as well. The more you standardize, the better I think our partners end up being producing in terms of growth as well as profitability for themselves. They truly manage their customers. And this may seem like a simple line, but it's about proactive management, right? It's not the reactive, it's the proactive. And when I look at the most successful partners we have, they're extremely proactive in the way they work with their customers as well. And ultimately, which resonates with us, that they embrace our mission, which means they believe in simplicity, they believe in kind of what we're driving towards as a company as well. That creates an amazing cultural fit, with us and them as well. So when I think of, us together capturing that unparalleled opportunity we just talked about earlier, what I'm going to request of you is please choose platform over portfolio, right? That's how you standardize. Choose managed services over just plain reselling. It's about how you work with your end customers. Choose simplicity over complexity every time, every chance you get, because that goes to the accountability we talked about. And by definition, if you do all these things, I hope you will, and you will continue to choose WatchGuard. Thank you very much. And with that, it's my pleasure to bring the person behind the Unified Security Platform, who's been worked diligently behind it, and he'll speak to market trends as well as the platform itself. Our head of products, Andrew Young.
All right, thank you, Prakash, and thank you all especially for being here today. Listening to Prakash talk about and Sandy talk about the successes that we've had over the past 3-5 years, it's really because of all of you that we've enjoyed this success. And when we think about coming to now and looking into the future, right, what gives us that confidence that we're going to be able to continue that success into the future, right? And there are many things, right? There's product, and I'll talk more about the unified security platform in a few minutes. There's people, right, and working together as a team, and Mark will talk more about that. But what really gives us confidence about our future success, about continuing to grow, it's all of you, right? So we're going to spend, Prakash mentioned, I have 2 sections that I'm going to go through. This first section, I'm going to go through a little bit of data that really kind of supports that idea of the opportunity that we have in front of us. And then I'll spend the second section going through really about the unified security platform and how it really helps you support that opportunity. So you're going to hear me, all of us actually, talk about this idea of the rise of the MSP, right? What do we mean when we say the rise of the MSP? And it's really all about you being uniquely positioned, you having this opportunity for success, really between 2 major market forces. The first one, very simply, is what's happening. What are customers buying today? And the second is how they're buying them, and the changes and opportunity that the how presents all of us. So if we start with the what, right? All businesses are investing more in security, right? This isn't anything new. The security market has been growing. It's been growing for years. It's going to continue to grow, right? This is not new. But what has changed is the type of security that SMB and mid-market customer needs, right? Their needs are now much broader than they have ever been. They need more sophisticated security to solve their needs within that SMB and mid-market space. And as a result, right, that mid-market security, it's the largest market within the security industry. It's the fastest growing segment within the security industry. And that really brings us to how, right? So when we think about these broader, more complex security solutions that the SMB and mid-market needs, you think about their process of trying the solutions, of purchasing the solutions, deploying, managing the solutions. As you get into these more complex solutions, that whole process, it's not easy, right? It's not simple, especially for an SMB customer, right? For them to go through and really understand what's going on. Beyond that, the employees needed to manage these solutions, they're scarce, they're hard to find, right? They're hard to hire, they're hard to retain. They're very expensive for us to be able to continue. They have to be able to support, when you look at these broad solutions, they have to be able to support multiple domains, have deep security expertise, and really be able to stay on top of the threats as they're evolving, right? Prakash talked about, all of the trends from a security perspective that are going on in that threat landscape, and it's so important to stay on top of it. So what's the solution for this? The solution for this is outsourcing. For that SMB and mid-market, they need to find somebody to do that for them. Right? They started with general IT outsourcing, but eventually the market has evolved into these security specialists, right? That security experts that are supporting the SMB and mid-market, and that's all of you, right? You're the experts. You're the ones that have that breadth of knowledge. You're the ones that know how to manage these solutions, how to configure them correctly, right? To protect those customers. You have that security depth to be able, for them to be successful. So let's look at some data around this. So more than 90% of security spend today goes through the channel, right? Half of those purchases include some sort of managed service beyond just managed procurement, right? So some sort of deployment or otherwise. So as a result, that managed, that security spend is growing double digits, right? That security spend is growing more than 10%, the managed security element there is growing at more than 20%. So when we look at the analyst data, right, and they're all very consistent. When we look at like IDC and Canalys and channel company PwC, it's this tremendous opportunity. We have the channel business, right, that going through partners, growing twice as fast as direct business, and we have the managed element of that growing twice as fast again. So when we put all to this together, right, this is what we mean by the rise of the MSP. It's you that's in that perfect position about bringing together the what and the how, right? And for us, in order for us to serve this market, it really goes to, you heard Prakash talk about our purpose and our mission, right? And it really drives towards our purpose, which is to make enterprise security available to all organizations. And it gives us that laser focus on our mission, right? To deliver an MSP-focused platform that simplifies every aspect of security delivery, right? It's our mission really to enable you to be able to take advantage of this opportunity. And so that brings us to the unified security platform, right? This, no matter how you slice the opportunity, whether it's by channel or by customer, together we are poised to take advantage of this opportunity, right? Our products and our product vision combined with your ability to provide those managed services is what will make us successful. So how are we doing on this journey so far, right? So of the 17,000 partners that WatchGuard has globally, 10% of them are WatchGuard 1 certified. And that number has stayed pretty consistent over time, right? As our partner community has expanded, through acquisitions and organically. Around 10% have always been in the program. But what has changed dramatically over time is the breadth of the certifications that our partner community has achieved. About 2 years ago, we introduced this idea of specializations in the WatchGuard 1 program. Right? Since then, more than 50% of partners have 2 or more certifications. Right? They're certified on 2 or more products within the portfolio. And Prakash will talk about this later. That translates directly into cross-sell revenue for all of you. According to the 2021 partner survey that we did, thank you for responding to that, you guys report on average about 18% of your revenue comes from security, right? So you're doing some IT services, you're doing some security services. On average, about 18% of that comes from security. And you reported that that'll grow to 25% by 2024. So there's this tremendous shift in the IT community to get more focused on security, right? Providing those higher value services out to your customers. But there's also a shift in the business model, in the way that those services are delivered. So nearly half of partners responded as MSP being their primary business model, right? And so that's a 10% increase from when we asked the same question in 2018. And so that's your primary business model. So this isn't about I'm experimenting with it or I've done just a little bit of it. My primary business model is managed services. And within that group of managed service providers, of managed security service providers within our community, it's the fastest growing, right? It's the most profitable within the entire partner community. And again, later on, Prakash will go through a couple of case studies that will exemplify their success. Now, managed services means something different to everybody, right? I think most of the partners kind of self-identify as managed services. This makes sense, right? It's not a binary decision, a yes or no decision about whether I'm an MSP. It's this continuum of capabilities that an MSP can provide. And it really starts with that first managed services revenue dollars, and or euros, sorry. And when we ask the question about number of partners that have zero revenue from managed services revenue, less than 2% responded yes. 98% of the partner community is somewhere on that spectrum of providing managed services, right? And it's really our job to help you move along that continuum. In 2021, the survey results were 33% of your annual revenue came from managed services, right? That's all types of managed services, not just security. And you expect that to grow to 42% by 2024, right? A growth of more than 10%. And then when we ask about growth, one of the areas we hear all different types of growth. And again, Prakash will talk through some case studies on where partners are seeing some of this growth. But 55% of partners reported mergers and acquisitions as part of their business strategy, part of their business plan for 2022. That's up 8% from the same question that we asked in 2021. So that's a big change in that sort of approach to growth. But overall, we see that total revenue very healthy, right? The growth for our partners continuing to grow very quickly from 2021 over 2020. 18% on average growth. And they project, you guys all project that growth to grow to over 30% by 2024. So now that you understand sort of our mission, right, and that tremendous opportunity that you have in front of you, I want to take some time to talk about you guys and really kind of 4 key trends that we're seeing within the partner community, right? And this is based off, our surveys, of course, but our partner advisory council, our meetings that we have with you, market data, the forums that we're all part of, and we really come together in kind of 4 key areas. So the first one is about this idea of managed services revenue, right? And it continues to be king. That idea of having predictable and profitable revenue coming through your business is so important. And we see it driven by both the owners of the partner community, right? The owners of the MSPs, but also by end customers, right? It's becoming their preferred method to purchase security. And as a result, right, we see partners asking us for more security offerings, right? Prakash talked about the platform and our ability to continue to add more services to that platform, for us to be an enabler for you to wrap high-value services around that security so that you can deliver it to your customers in a very profitable way, and do it in a way that is a platform-based approach, right? And Prakash made that distinction between portfolio and platform, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, right? What makes that difference? What makes a platform, in our eyes, what makes a platform a platform? And I'll definitely talk more about the product enablers in a lot more detail around this first trend. The second trend is all about that cybersecurity talent shortage that I talked about, right? This is critical for end users. It's critical for all of you, for the solution providers, right? This ability to get the right talent in. The skills we know are scarce. They're cost prohibitive. They're very expensive resources, right? The more complex the solution, the more expensive of a resource that you need. So what are partners asking for us here, right? They're asking for us, one, to bring together this platform, right? To bring it together in a way that's simplified, that's automated, that has a strong ecosystem, a security ecosystem, but most importantly, that it can be run by generalists. It can be run by engineers, not the top-level engineers, but done in a way that provides automation so that a broader community can run them, right? And this is really a financial imperative for a profitable solution for all of you. So the third trend is all about increasing the average revenue per user, right? You have a customer, you want to be able to expand within that customer. And more than 60% of MSPs are starting to establish customer success in one form or another, right? That ability to go into existing customers, to provide automation tools, to be able to do journey mapping within your customers, really to provide that cross-functional sales process to drive cross-sell within your organization. And it's really important for a vendor like WatchGuard to provide you with tools to be able to enable this. And again, I'll go into more detail about how the unified security platform really helps us deliver on that capability. And then finally, the fourth trend is around new customer acquisition, right? Driving pipeline development. This is an area that's hotter than ever. Partners are looking for new ways to create pipeline, and they're looking to us to help, right? And we want to give you the tools to be able to do that, right? Provide you with marketing automation, demand, give you access to demand gen agencies. Really investing in inside sales and BDR teams, and as well as ramping up our external that outside sales skill set. And most importantly, we're looking, or the partners are looking to vendors to really support account-based marketing. And this is an area that WatchGuard has invested in heavily and will continue to invest in. And again, Mark will talk more about some of our capabilities and offerings there. So these 4 themes really drive everything that we do, right? Your success is our success. We're focused on building products, teams, programs, all to support this mission, all to support these 4 initiatives, these 4 trends that I talked about. So next I'm going to go through the product strategy, again, that really kind of supports those 4 trends. I'll go deep into, especially the first 3 of them. Later, Prakash will talk about some of the real-world examples where our partners are supporting these trends, and Mark will take you through some of the program elements. So before I move into sort of this next section, really going deep into the unified security platform, I wanted to kind of give you a little bit of a personal story here. So this is my Combi, right, at home. My son and I spent, I don't know, the last 2.5 years, right, the majority of the pandemic, and we converted this classic Combi to an electric car, right? We used an off-the-shelf motor. It was a 71 horsepower motor, right? Big improvement from the 46 horsepower engine that was in there before. We used Tesla batteries, right? 5 Tesla packs to do this to do this conversion. Man, the results are awesome. I love driving around in this thing, right? It is so much fun. It is the coolest thing ever. But we have ambitious plans, right? We're not stopping there. As proud as I am of this thing, we've already moved on to our next project, right? And we've been looking on the market for a totaled Tesla S. And our plans are to take that drivetrain out of the Tesla and actually retrofit it into the Combi, right? So, those ambitious plans, we're going to have a 300 horsepower engine in this thing. And it's going to be, it's just so exciting about that next evolution, that next step for us. And when I think about WatchGuard, right, you have the unified security platform today. I'm so proud of what we have built, right? It's an amazing platform. It gives you all of the services that you need to be successful. We think about the unified security platform in these 5 categories, right? It starts with clarity and control. That's WatchGuard Cloud. That gives you that ability to onboard your customers in a self-service manner. It gives you that multi-tier, multi-tenancy. It allows you to do license management. It allows you to do delegation. But it also gives you that single pane of glass, that single place to manage all of your security services, as well as get that kind of single view into the security posture of your customers. Second is having that comprehensive set of security services. Prakash talked about it, right? It's not a platform unless it has network, endpoint, and identity. Those are the most 3 elements, the 3 basic elements, 3 most needed elements. And then on the network side, of course, wired and wireless. And we're going to continue to build that out. And I'll talk more about some of our plans there. The third is shared knowledge. And shared knowledge is to me, is that secret sauce of what that difference between a portfolio and a platform. Right? A portfolio is just a bunch of products that are running together, right? That maybe even have a single pane of glass. That's great. Having something like ThreatSync on the platform that can correlate events across the different security services, right? That provides you with those response actions, across the portfolio. You know, that's part of what really makes the difference between a platform and a portfolio. Identity framework, right? Having these common identity objects at a platform level that enable you to write zero trust policies across all of the security applications, right? So this idea of shared knowledge is so important, right? Making sure that the services are aware of each other and learn from each other really drives our strategy. And again, we'll talk a lot more about what's going on there. The fourth area here, what we call operational alignment, that's making sure that we work well with you, right? That if you're using an RMM or a PSA tool, that we integrate with it, that we use the tools that you use every day. If you're using other products in your customers' environments, that we have a robust ecosystem to support that. That we align with you on a business model perspective, right? That we're able to give you that flexibility and options on how you buy product that align with the way that you sell that product. And then finally, automation, right? And automation really overlays everything, so important in everything that we do, whether it's security automation or APIs or machine learning. And I'll talk a little bit more about automation. But this is here and now today. You have this. Again, we're very proud of what it is, but we're not stopping there, right? We have ambitious plans to continue to grow this platform in the future. There are two major sort of meta trends in the industry, and these are what drive our strategy, right? The first one is around XDR, right? I talked about ThreatSync and how important ThreatSync is. Right? We were one of the first to market with XDR, right? We called it TDR. It was 5 or 6 years ago. We are investing heavily in the next generation of ThreatSync, and it will become such an important part of the platform. And I always tell people, XDR is one of these things that will never be done with, right? We'll always be investing in better machine learning across that telemetry and in ingesting more events and making open XDR instead of closed XDR. There's so much for us to do here, and we'll continue to drive our strategy around XDR. The other one is SASE, right? And Secure Access Service Edge. I assume most of you are familiar with it. This is the notion that the hub of the network is moving from the data center to the cloud, right? And what does that mean? And what does that mean across sort of the use cases that we all solve for today with network security? And it's so important. And again, in the next kind of 2 to 5 year horizon, it's critical for us to deliver on XDR capabilities. And then finally, an overlay of managed services. Right? We want to be able to help you, to be able to provide for you managed services across both of these pillars so that you can deliver, white labeled, be able to deliver more sophisticated, deeper managed services provided by WatchGuard. So what I want to do is kind of take a journey and go through, I'm going to go through the first 3 trends. And I'll turn it over to Mark for that 4th one and really talk about how the unified security platform helps deliver on all 3 of these. So we'll start with that idea of managed services and how the platform helps you deliver those managed services out to your customers, providing that predictability in revenue. So it starts with the security services. Right? And again, you've heard us talk about these 4 product categories: so network security, wired and wireless, end user security with our endpoint security and multi-factor authentication, identity security, all together on that single platform, all managed from WatchGuard Cloud. The second is you can depend on WatchGuard for managed services. If you're selling WatchGuard EPDR today, right? you know that there are 2 managed services that are included with WatchGuard EPDR, right? The ability, that zero trust application service, right? That ability to attest to every file before we allow it to run, runs through a process that starts with things like, known bad file lists, goes on to machine learning, but eventually a human will look at a file if we need to make a determination if that is known good or known bad. But every file before it's run will run through that process. And it's included in that service. The second is the managed threat hunting, what we call the threat hunting investigation service. Again, it's included in WatchGuard EPDR. Right? We have a team of threat hunters who are constantly exploring and writing scripts to look for malicious activity within customer environments. Is there an OpenRDP server on the network, and are there unauthenticated requests to access it? And so this team is constantly looking for those threats in your customers' environments. And again, both of these services are included with EPDR. But it doesn't stop there, right? Every one of our services, when you add the managed service provider, when we add you, they become managed services, whether it's endpoint security, right? You can deliver MDR, managed detection and response, network security, managed, being able to provide managed network security, managed Wi-Fi, and managed identity services. I talked about FlexPay and the importance, this idea of making sure that we have business models that align with the way that you want to do business. And we really think about this sort of in 2 dimensions, right? You have 2 decisions to make when you're working with WatchGuard. The first one is how long are you committing to, right? Is it a 3-year commitment? Is it a 1-month commitment, right? Or a 1-year commitment? The second is how often, what's the payment frequency? Do you want to pay monthly? Do you want to pay all 3 years up front, right? And that really translates into 3 business models for us. And that's our upfront 1- and 3-year subscriptions. The second one is MSSP points. And the third one is our pay-as-you-go, right? Our subscription, our monthly subscription pay-as-you-go model. And when we look across the portfolio, right, we spent a couple of years where we had, one product line supported one business model, another. Today, all products support all 3 business models. So you have that choice to be able to pick, based off of length of the commitment and payment frequency, any of the business models for all of the platform. So again, we're not stopping there, right? What's next for us? Where are our investments in this area? Right? We're going to be adding more security services to the platform. Prakash talked about sort of 3 ways that we can add services within the portfolio. Right, he talked about M&A a little bit. We have our organic capabilities, and we OEM some services. And so we're continuing to invest in all of these different areas. We have email security, right? For those of you that were a Panda Origin partner, you know about the email security capability that Panda offered. That's coming into WatchGuard Cloud, right? We have plans in later this year to GA that across the entire portfolio, right from the platform. Organically, our biggest investment is in firewall as a service, right? Looking at those SASE use cases and making sure that we've prioritized some of the work from home capabilities within the SASE use cases and are focused on really 2 of them, firewall as a service and sort of VPN capabilities, what's called ZTNA, Zero Trust Network Access. And then we continue to look, and we have this new funding to go find new M&A targets that make sense for you, right? It's really about aligning with the products that you're selling today, to bring to your market. And we're looking at all sorts of areas, right? We're looking at networking, things like network switches, right, that go very well with our firewall and Wi-Fi solutions. We're looking at storage and business continuity and disaster recovery solutions and bringing those in through acquisition. And then we're looking at tools that are focused on you, right? Not necessarily for you to resell, but tools that you can use to help drive your business. Things like assessment tools that help you sell other security services within your environment. Another big investment for us is something that we call WatchGuard Endpoint for SOCs, right? And this comprises really of 3 sets of capabilities. So the first one is an advanced endpoint capability that will be delivered, generally available later this year. The second one is a threat hunting platform. Again, for those of you who may have been Panda Origin partners, you're familiar with a platform called Orion. And Orion is really focused on the threat hunter within an MSP to be able to provide those threat hunting services. And the third is a managed threat hunting capability, right? And where you can rely on us to deliver those managed threat hunting capabilities. And we're really investing in all 3 of these to expand those out globally. The second area Prakash talked about was this investment in back office. And I think about, why do you care about back office? It's all about making it easier to do business with, right? I think about some of the discussions that I've had with partners about friction that we've introduced in the ordering process or the fulfillment process, or how you do renewals, how you manage points or subscriptions. And we're really focused with, between WatchGuard and the MSP to remove all of that friction, to make it as easy as possible, to make it as self-service as possible in all cases across all of these capabilities. So we're really thinking about, how do we leverage this investment to translate it into really advantages for you. So that second trend, right, that idea of that talent shortage, and how do we help you combat the talent shortage? There's a lot of capabilities today in the platform, right? We think about WatchGuard Cloud and what WatchGuard Cloud is designed to do. And again, it's all about self-service for you, but also if you're using Firebox management in WatchGuard Cloud, you know about this templating capability where you can write best practices templates at the MSP layer, and you can automatically deploy those to your tenants, right? And you can create tenant-specific policies, and you can automate upgrade processes and roll those out in a very organized way across your deployment. Zero touch deployments, and being able to leverage the platform to not have to touch and configure the box before you send it out. We have zero touch deployments for Firebox, for Endpoint, for Authpoint. So important, but also that actionable visibility, right? Being able in a very easy way to be able to have reports that are meaningful, to have QBR reports that you can share with your customers, automated from the system. The second area is what we call automation core, right? And we have automation capabilities across the platform. And we've really focused automation in 2 areas. The first is what we call security automation, right? This is like machine learning. This is being able to have you write policy for response actions, right? To be predictive about the security services that we provide. The second is around operational automation, right? How do we make you more efficient in what you do? How do we provide you with those integrations, with those workflow automations so that you can perform repeatable processes without having to go back to the system every time and be able to automate those. So that this idea of automation core APIs up across all of these areas are available to you, right? Those are things that are available today. That ecosystem that we talk about, we have, I think it's over 150 integrations now within the platform across all of the products, right? And then we have a team that's dedicated to performing these integrations, documenting them, and making them publicly available. So you have access to them right off the partner portal or right off of our website, where you can get access to all of these. Again, we test them, we document them, we make it easy because we know that we don't live in a bubble, right? You have to work with these other applications, and we want to make it as easy as possible. And I like to think about unified beyond the product, right? It's not always just about the product as much as I sometimes think it is, but it's so important to think of the unified security platform beyond just product, right? You think about support and having a unified support organization that you can have a relationship with, right? That understands the needs of all of the products, right? People that you're familiar with, your sales organization, and being able to work with the same sales organization across a unified security platform. You have a great sales team here in France, and it's just the ability for you to be able to leverage that across the platform. But again, we're not stopping there. We have really exciting plans that we're investing in. So first is what we call ThreatSync 2.0, right? That next version, a major version of ThreatSync, is just about to go into beta. So you have your technical teams reach out to your SEs, and you can actually help us very shortly in this beta process. And some major investments going. I talked about this being the foundation of our XDR strategy, right? So there's so much that we're doing here. It starts with a new user interface that's native right into WatchGuard Cloud. The second is the endpoint, what we used to call the host sensor, is now all based off of WatchGuard endpoint technology. So we have a new level that we call EDR Core that will be part of the total security bundle and feed into ThreatSync. And it really gives you that upsell motion from that EDR Core, from total security into endpoint security and WatchGuard EPDR, right? But it all comes together in ThreatSync. And we think about this sort of kind of a three-step process when we think about ThreatSync. So step one is about collecting telemetry, right? We collect telemetry from all of the security services. The second is about correlation, right? We take that telemetry, and we have kind of manual or static correlation rules, but more importantly, we have machine learning-based correlation rules, right? We take this big data, and we write machine learning models on top of it to be able to predict threats in the environment that you wouldn't normally see. And then step number 3 is about response actions, right? And thinking about, I can learn something from the endpoint, and I can respond on network, right? I can learn something on network security, and I can shut them down on auth point. So this idea that we have the flexibility across the platform, right? This is what makes it a platform to learn across the portfolio and respond across the portfolio. And this is an area, like I said, you're going to continue to see investments in, right? Probably one of our largest areas of investment, and it will continue to be. And as we add those new services I talked about, they feed their telemetry into XDR, into ThreatSync, and allow us to expand those capabilities and build on that platform concept. And again, we'll be continuing to build out those capabilities across the portfolio and really allow you to build these managed services on top of it, right? To be able to go and do managed network detection, managed endpoint detection. There's a new term from Gartner about ITDR, which is about authentication and correlation within an authentication environment. And then ultimately managed XDR, right, as you bring the whole platform together. So the second area, that a big investment in this area is around the threat hunting services. So I talked about, we have some threat hunting capabilities that are available in the platform today. We have some managed threat hunting that we offer actually only in Spain today. And we're really looking at expanding those managed services in a few different ways. So first of all, we want to expand them beyond endpoint, right? We want to provide managed threat hunting across the entire portfolio. So we can look at your network configuration and tell you whether there's an any rule that shouldn't be there, right? We can help you identify, malware, network-based malware within your environment. We can, as we do today, help you hunt endpoint-based threats within your environment. The second way is in making this global, right? So the first was expanding across the product portfolio. The second is making this global. So it'll be a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week service that'll be available for you to resell to your customers to provide that managed service capability. And then the third is providing different layers of different levels, sophistication of threat hunting. So kind of threat hunting at its sort of fundamental level is about hunting for IOCs, right? It's something I know about, and I'm going to go look for that IOC within the environment, right? So it's hunting for the known. The second level of threat hunting is much more sophisticated, right? It's about hunting for the unknown. And it's really about creating hypotheses within an environment and testing those hypotheses and iterating on that until you find something that you had no idea was there. And there may not even be an IOC or an IOA within the environment indicating that. And so providing those two levels of threat hunting within, again, as a managed service that would be available for you as partners to white label and resell. So the third area that I want to talk about, that third trend, is about how to use the platform to expand that average revenue per user, right? How do you get more revenue from your customers? So the first is in the way that we do bundling, right? Available to you today, Passport is a phenomenal bundle, right? It includes WatchGuard EPDR, it has AuthPoint in it, it has DNS Watch, DNS Watch Go in there. Great bundle, tremendous value to your customers. But we try to build on this good, better, best bundling strategy across the portfolio. So you think about a network where we have standard, basic, and total, and really starting to build out those capabilities across the portfolio. So the second area that really helps you drive that revenue per user up is a new trials capability that we've recently launched within WatchGuard Cloud, right? This allows every one of you to self-service trials across your entire install base, right, to all of your customers. Today it supports all of the endpoint products as well as all of the endpoint modules, right? So you have available to you that ability to go in, self-service, deploy, and then convert that to a production environment. You don't have to redeploy when your customer purchases it. And again, it's all available right within WatchGuard Cloud, all self-service for you to be able to do that. The next area is what I like to call better together, right? These are tools or integrations that we've performed across the portfolio that help you cross-sell, right? And I picked out 4 here. XDR I've already talked about, right? You think about XDR, the more services that you buy from the platform, the more value it's going to provide, right? Yeah, maybe you can have another endpoint vendor or an endpoint from a different vendor, but if you have an endpoint from WatchGuard and it's on the same platform, you're receiving the benefits of XDR. We don't charge for threat sync, right? We don't charge for that capability. It's all about providing more services and getting more value out of it. We've done integrations between access points and Firebox, right? Something we call remote access point. So in a world where we're working from home, I can deploy an access point to a user's home, and it can automatically create a tunnel back to the Firebox and extend the network in a secure way out to that end user's environment. Very powerful capability. Auth point integrated with Firebox, right? We've made it, first of all, very easy. It's like a checkbox to be able to integrate multi-factor authentication with VPN on Firebox, and it does it in a very simple way, right? You don't have to deploy a Radius server, so you don't need any additional infrastructure to be able to leverage this. But for all of your Firebox customers, what a great way to upsell to multi-factor authentication to AuthPoint. And then finally, enforcement checks, right? So before a VPN is established, you want to make sure that WatchGuard EPDR is running, right? That's a secure endpoint before you allow that VPN connection to establish. And we've made that integration and that capability to be able to check that before the user is allowed to authenticate. Again, what a great tool to cross-sell within your environment. The next area is really around modules, right? And this is about upselling and providing more capabilities, more differentiation within the endpoint environment. So we offer, if you have WatchGuard EPDR, we have this very rich set of modules that you can add on to WatchGuard that provide tremendous value. Patch management is such a great sales tool add-on, right? It's not just about the patching element. It does a vulnerability assessment, tells you what's going on within that customer's environment, and then allows them to patch it. Advanced reporting tool encryption. Data control is all about EPDR and giving you the tools to have visibility in a GDPR, did I say EPDR? In a GDPR environment. So what's next for us in this kind of drive to help you drive greater revenue per user? We're just about to announce total identity security, right? Again, this goes into beta any day now, right? And we plan to go GA on July 1st. And so this is our I talked about good, better, best for networking. So this is our second identity bundle, right? This brings together AuthPoint, a password manager, right? That can be used both in a corporate and a personal environment, and then dark web scanning. So today we give you the ability, dark web monitoring. Today we give you the scanning capability for free in WatchGuard Cloud for dark web, for searching for your customers' passwords on the dark web. We're providing an ongoing monitoring service as part of total identity. So this bundle, it allows you to double your average sale to a user from AuthPoint to total identity, and provides tremendous value, right? When you compare the cost of these components, if they were purchased individually, it's tremendous value for you to provide this bundle out to your customers. So it's something we're really excited about, a very, very near-term deliverable for us. But we're going to continue around this idea of bundling, and we're really exploring a lot of really interesting and I think innovative ideas around bundling. So one is bundling across the portfolio, right? Today we have network security bundles and we have kind of end user bundles. Why don't we have a bundle that crosses the portfolio, right? A portfolio-wide bundle. So an area that we're really investigating. The second one is innovations around the way that we price firewall capabilities, firebox capabilities. And we're looking at per user per month pricing, independent of the sizing of the environment, right? So you can have consistent per user per month pricing. And this is really important when we move into kind of the SASE environment, right? When we move into firewall as a service and ZTNA, that we establish this idea of per user per month pricing for network, right? So you're not paying for the box, or you're not paying for hardware, right? Shouldn't be part of the conversation anyways, right? The value is in the services, and so it really makes sense to move to a model like this. And then that good, better, best expansion, right? We want to continue investing across each one of the product pillars to give you that good, better, best option, because it gives you that ability to upsell within that product portfolio. So again, I just want to wrap it up here with sort of this journey, right, around how you can leverage the platform to really deliver on these three capabilities, right? To deliver managed services, to be able to scale your operations, right? Automate the capabilities within your environment, and finally be able to leverage the platform to deliver on those expanding those cross-sell and upsell capabilities to expand that average revenue per user. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Mark Romano, who's going to take you through some of the platform, some of the program capabilities. Mark?
Thank you, Andrew. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to have a little opportunity here today to talk to you about how we're going to take everything you just heard. There was a lot of information about product, about platform, about company direction, about investment. And I think what we have some time to do today is to now determine how we create this into a go-to-market opportunity for you. So I'm going to reference some of the topics that the previous gentleman talked about, and then I'm going to drive you into those go-to-market tool sets and show you some examples that have been done over the last couple of quarters that I think are now effective, they are tested, and they're ready to roll out to the rest of our global partner community as well. So we've heard about operational efficiency, consolidation, the talent shortage that I'm sure all of you have been dealing with. Your customers are dealing with the same type of talent shortages. It is an incredible cost investment to bring new talent on board, to retain that talent. We want to look at how we can leverage the expense that you've applied to this exercise by using automation as a tool, by taking vendor consolidation and bringing what is a talent sector along with a product sector or a platform sector and put those two together to create an increased profitability for your companies going forward over the next few years. The whole goal here is to create a financial success for our partner community as well as WatchGuard that, again, will allow us to enter new markets, allow you to grow your market and your customer base, and to establish WatchGuard as your vendor consolidator of choice. We've seen over the last couple of years as we take a look at the managed service provider community, and we see the cost structure of the talent, of the technical talent that you have to employ, and in an MSP scenario, using a vendor consolidation idea to reduce the number of vendors that you have on your line card to create a package that is sellable to your customer base in a managed service provider model, that as your customer rate goes up, your cost structure goes up as a very small percentage because it is a repeatable exercise that you're always doing with your customers by applying that vendor consolidated or vendor platform and automation together to drive your businesses forward. Now, when we look at our partner community, you are all familiar with the WatchGuard One Partner Program. We have multiple levels of certification. We've actually added one that is not on this graphic today, the endpoint certification. We will continue to add to this portfolio as the product line continues. We'll also add new MSP and MSSP qualifications, and I'll explain why we're going to do that over the next 10 minutes or so. That increase in competency allows you to better serve your customers, allows for better long-term customers within your client portfolio, but it also allows you to now extend into the next few years of MSP and MSSP expansion. That expansion needs to also be included in the WatchGuard One program. Up to date, we've had a program that's run pretty consistently over the last 4 years. We're now going to be looking at some changes within that partner program that will directly affect your business if you choose to take advantage of them. Some of the ideas here that we're looking at are enhanced benefits with reduced costs for our MSPs and MSSPs if you take advantage of these types of new program elements. Things like subscription-specific revenue targets, mixed targets, the ability to have products that are available only to MSPs and MSSPs in those qualified categories. So it's essentially an overlay to our WatchGuard One program today that will extend 3 and 5 years into the future as that MSP and MSSP community grows based on all of the market conditions that we have seen today. Some of the other things that we're going to be looking at into 2023 is to reduce channel conflict. We want to make sure that as more and more e-commerce players come on board and we have additional types of marketplaces brought into the mix of how to sell to an end user customer, that we create an environment where we can take those types of go-to-market channels into play, but reduce channel conflict over time. So there's going to be a lot to see over the next 6 months. Many of you will have calls from our consultants, from myself, from my team, to help us determine what that program will look like as we move into 2023 so that it affects your business directly and allows you to grow more effectively, consistently, and with the speed that you need to move forward. Let me switch just a little bit to pipeline development. So again, both Prakash and Andrew have talked a lot about the opportunities that are there, but how do you actually wrap your arms around what that opportunity is? How do you drive customers into your business? What are the tool sets that are available? I'm going to go through a couple of those today, as well as show you some examples of some of the programs that we've done. So our whole goal here is to take a look at your business, work with you on the pipeline development, so that you can take a look at top-line growth while you're adjusting your business for profitability as well. For those of you who use our partner portal on a regular basis, you've probably seen a lot of the changes we've made. A very large investment has gone into our partner portal, and we will start to make more investments over the next year that will allow you to take advantage of some of the tool sets we're bringing online. Now, not all of those are developed by us. Some of them are developed by third parties, but you'll access them through the partner portal as part of the tool set that we make available to our partner community. One of those areas will be social content and will be the ability to take our content that we produce and make it your own. We've heard for years that partners in the MSP space really don't sell our product as our product. You sell it as a package under your name. It's our goal to help you do that so that you don't have to do the work yourself. You can incorporate our material under your name to make that happen. And you can do that directly through the partner portal. The marketing campaign kits that have always been out there in multiple languages are a great way to do that, and your field marketing teams that are available to you every day to help you market to your end user base or to grow that end user base. Most of the work is already done for you. It's just a matter of selecting what the appropriate tool set would be for you to go forward. So let me get into a couple of examples. I've actually written down the numbers here because it's important for me to share with you the actual numbers that worked on these next 3 programs. We did a pipeline generation program specifically for endpoint. This was what's known as a blitz calling day. We did this with a variety of partners in Q3 of last year. This exercise in 2 days with a very small number of partners, under 20, generated 43 meetings, 267 deal registrations, with a pipeline of $4.5 million in that quarter for just endpoint. That didn't include any cross-sell. This entire tool set is available to your field marketing team to use with you today. If you haven't heard of 6 Sense yet, please talk to your sales folks and your marketing people that work for WatchGuard. 6 Sense is a way for you to engage in account-based marketing, which is traditionally used for the enterprise space, but can be used very effectively at generating new customer opportunities for you. We can bring that in with LinkedIn. We can target potential customer companies as well as end users directly. Take a look at what their behavior is, and then make it the right time for you to call those customers and get a better result for the money that is spent. And this is available through us for you. So it's another service we make available for you. The last piece is a platform called Relevize, and this is a social media pilot that we ran in the US. This ran in Q4. We did this with just 5 partners, so a very small group. But this group will also set appointments as well. So when you come out of this, you'll literally have appointments to go talk to actual people who are interested in what you have to offer. So it's a customization between your go-to-market and this tool set. We did this with 5 partners, had 280 leads, 32 deal registrations with a pipeline of over $2.1 million. These tools are all available to you. We will work to customize them, to make them as effective as possible, to drive your business forward as fast as you want to drive it. So we're here to help. Please let us know how we can do that. Natalie is here. She leads the field marketing team in France. I'm here all day. We'd be more than happy to talk to you about how to do this and really effectively take a consolidated product and platform portfolio and drive this go-to-market strategy for you. I'd now like to turn this back over to our CEO, Prakash Banjwani.
All right. Thank you, Mark and Andrew. Awesome job earlier. By the way, this is supposed to be Sean Price, this section. So imagine me bald, about 4 inches shorter. The only thing we share in common is that we both, at least at one point, he still lives in New Jersey. I did at some point. So, but beyond that, there's not a whole lot in common between us, I guess. So, if I think obviously, you've heard a lot about just the vision, the strategy, kind of where things are headed. I think it would be just great to just talk about the community and how we go to market. So I'm going to talk you through just how we operate internally, and then what's really important to us and the team. So throughout the day, we have been talking about managed service providers in some shape or form. And I think it's good to acknowledge that while that's a term, we realize that the partner community is not just one size fits all, right? All of you have slightly different models, and that is perfectly fine. And so just want to kind of share with you, when we think about you and how we think about creating the products and creating the right go-to-market approach, we're not just thinking an MSP as just a fixed entity. It's a partner who may be doing different things and maybe in different evolution of how they even operate and how you go to market. You have partners who are, what I would call foundational security services, but all the way to very advanced. Some of you have full SOC capabilities, right? So there is a whole range of partner community that we work with, and we embrace that because that's what we do well, and therefore we can build the right solutions to fit how you want to go to market as well. And that's really what ultimately, when we ask our sales teams and we think about what are some of the different things that come to mind, what partner support looks like, when we kind of hear back from you, these are some of the things that come up, right? Gone are the old days of just A channel account manager probably just calling you every day trying to figure out, what are you going to order today, right? That's not very helpful to you as a partner community, right? It's about how we actually can help you succeed based on your business plan. And ultimately, you could see right in the middle, right? The most obvious thing that we look for in our sales team is somebody who can become a trusted advisor for the partner as well through their whole journey, right? Not just about one-off deals here and there. And that's really what we strive for, ultimately within our sales organization. And then we, work with them to make sure we're providing them the right training. It's been 3 years. Obviously, we could not do our sales kickoffs. We do annually in January in Seattle. By the way, January in Seattle, usually people will not celebrate. It's cold and rainy. But our sales team loves that. I know that because they get there, and it's just amazing energy that we create when you have about 350 people all over the world coming together in one place. And this year, we took a different approach because we could not be together, and we have kind of done different training sessions. But when we really focus on what we want to do, of course, they have tools, right? We use Salesforce for tracking opportunities and working with you, but we also have Tableau for our dashboard and KPI reporting. But ultimately, the training is truly built around how they can become the advisory to you as our partner community. And that includes everything from how they would engage you on P&L. What's important to you as a partner? What are you trying to drive towards? Is it gross margin? Is it profit? Is it top line? And they have to understand your needs so they can fit within that and they can work with you based on what you're looking for. And some of the examples Mark gave you come straight out of the fact that you have to work with the partner to engage at that level to figure out what makes sense for that specific partner. Look, we're a large company now, and when I step back and I look at it, obviously we track a lot of different things, right? At a company level, when we go to our board meeting, there's typically a set of what I would call key performance indicators that we go through and we track on a regular basis. But right in the middle, probably the most important one, right, is the measurement around having a healthy, loyal, and growing partner base. So we actually build it into our metrics, very, very clear indicators of success at at the global level, at the regional level, at the country level, right? So we track it across, and even at the territory level. And we have amazing reporting now based on that. And that's then ultimately feeds into us understanding what we need to do differently if one of those KPIs is not going in the direction that we want. But the sales team, which is really our lifeblood, along with obviously some amazing sales engineers, I know you're blessed with a few of them here, and our CAMs, are obviously focused on making sure that those things are working well so that ultimately when we report out, those things look great for us as well. And what's interesting is ultimately, when I think about our team, in the field, always gets down to these three things that they're doing. Sometimes they're doing all of them, right? But they're always focused on one of these three things. They're essentially either helping expand. Expand is, of course, making sure if they have a new partner, how do you onboard them? How do you get them specialized in what they prefer to be specialized in? And most of that we, of course, try to automate as much as we can, but ultimately it's their job to make sure you're leveraging those things. And you benefit, obviously, from that as well. We track retention metrics, right? How many transactions are we doing with you? Because that's a clear indication of success or a challenging area for us that we may have to overcome. So we have very specificness we track there as well. And that benefits you because that allows our sales team to then figure out what they could do better to get you to more engage with our product line and how they can help you with even end opportunities and user opportunities, as the case may be. And then, of course, you'll hear this, and then I think Andrew already spoke to it. Cross-selling is critical for us because it's an indicator of the kind of this notion of platform over portfolio ultimately, right? We look at that as a partner who's truly embracing our overall platform, and that is obviously very important to us, but you benefit tremendously if you do that as well, just based on what Andrew just kind of walked you through. So that's how we track, right? One of the questions I always get asked, and because we have such a global community now of partners, just some success stories of kind of what do the most successful partners do well. And it's a hard thing to kind of sometimes just pinpoint to one thing. So what we decided to do, we kind of did a survey of some of our partners across the globe and kind of picked out just a few case studies here that I'll do my best, because this is where Sean would be awesome to do justice to the case studies. But I'll do my best to kind of walk you through some of these success stories for us, but really from the eye of what is it that they do better or different than the rest, and that's what makes them successful. And that's what we obviously look for. And then we help our other channel organization to make sure they can mimic those things too. So this first one is a partner in US. By the way, we have a little flag over there just in case you were not sure. Added that in the graphics. Awesome. This is a small partner. You could see about 27 employees, very typical, I would say, of the mid-market. And about 250 customers, so not big in general in terms of their size, and but they're very focused in what they do and very regionally focused as well. Now, this partner is very special to me because he's an amazing wine guy. So there's an added bonus, which is not on the case study, but always helpful to have a partner who's into wine. Just let's keep that in mind. And this partner is probably one of the most aggressive I know, even despite the resource constraints, about driving top-line growth. Actually, it's funny, at one of our meetings, he talked explicitly about how he thinks about sales and marketing and kind of drives. And one of the great example of the use of Sixth Sense platform that Mark just talked about. And in their example, what they're trying to do is, and this is, if you look at the very top, very crisp goal, and I'll read it just so that everybody kind of sinks in. What they want to get to is they want enough of their MSP business to be recurring that the revenue that they get from MSP business, because they also do project-based business on top of that, is going to be 100% of their operating costs are covered on a monthly basis from it. Pretty simple metric if you think about it. It's just a way to drive both the recurring revenue top part of it, but with a profitability target in mind. It's a very explicit way to kind of measure performance. And the way they want to get there is by growth, right? So they are now determined to kind of continue to grow. And because of lack of resources, you've heard that theme a few times before, what they have done is the last theme that Mark just talked about is focus on pipeline development. So they have taken us on. They work with our team, Mark's team explicitly in US, and they have built programs very, very targeted to grow their business from an end customer basis. And a good example there is that they started with law firms. That was their kind of core vertical, as they work with legal law firms in their territory. That led to, naturally, to some extent, to kind of extending beyond, I would say, just what the kind of law enforcement side of the house. So now they're selling to law enforcement as well within their community. And what they did was they kind of worked with the Sixth Sense tool with our team and created targeted lists and then drove their pipeline up. And now at this point, they're just targeting to add new users, constantly. And they're also looking for, vendor consolidation. And this is the one thing, this is one of his quotes that I love, and you see at the bottom, but there's quotes around it, which is, he tells his sales team this all the time. Hey, we're not always going to be smarter than the vendor, right? So if the vendor is saying do this, let's go do this. And he finds that sometimes, that drives them kind of different behavior versus getting too technically focused on what they're trying to do constantly, and kind of embrace, and I mentioned this earlier, embrace our mission because we know we're not going to leave you behind. And they're a great example of taking us at some face value there and driving that through to the end customer as well. So truly leveraging the platform. And as he calls it in US, there's an expression, kind of drink the Kool-Aid. You can Google it later. But drinking the Kool-Aid is kind of believing what we're telling them and then driving it home to the end customers as well. The next one is a very interesting example from Brazil. And this is a partner has been here with us since 2013, so not as long as some of the other ones that you'll see here as well, but quite a few years now. And they sell pretty much everything from us. And so, their goal was driving gross margin, right? So that's what they're focused on, getting up, and they've now driven it from the 32, they want to get to the 42% in 2 years. And very explicitly, they want to do it by selling more of multi-factor authentication and endpoint. Makes sense because obviously when you're selling NetSec, because of the hardware element, there is a lower gross margin relative to software. So they just have a very specific focus of driving their top line, but using MFA and endpoint as a way to drive that up. So very crisp goal that they have stated. Their challenge is they're in a geography, in a country. I mean, the whole world is suffering from it. Brazil has had, if you follow just global economy, way too many ups and downs. And I think it creates a huge challenge for them just from a cash flow perspective. And so they're a great example of adopting our FlexPay. They are completely focused on using our MSP points. Those of you know what they are, they're available to you as well as part of our FlexPay that Andrew mentioned earlier. And just they leverage that to kind of grow their business and maintain kind of their margins as well that they wanted to do there. But very much focused once again on kind of selling the whole platform as a way to grow that MSP business, to grow that recurring revenue, get the gross margin up, and then succeed that way as well. Third one, been with us forever. By the way, jokingly, 1975, we weren't even around, but imagine, we were founded in 1996, just to be clear. So a little bit of Sean Price jokes there that are thrown in here. But just so you know, they've been with us forever since we were around. And they're also US-based and very interesting company. So there's a lot of consolidation happening. You probably know US has a lot of consolidation happening between MSPs and VARs coming together. And there's some private equity firms who are driving the consolidation by bringing some of these folks together. This partner pretty much said, we don't want to be we want to consolidate. We don't want to be consolidated. So they have been very focused on driving acquisitions and acquiring new partners within their network. And you can see they're one of our largest in size, over 800 employees on a kind of global, a US-wide scale. And very interesting company because every time they acquire, it's with the goal of very crisply about increasing average revenue per user. What I loved about them was, very few times you find a partner who has a very clear, just one metric that matters. And so one of the things they do is to make sure they're increasing average revenue per user. One of the trends that Andrew and Mark touched upon is they actually measure their cost per user as well. They measure average cost per user, and you can see there, it's very specific, right? The spend of $1 per hour is a way to measure their success. So they will walk away from customers if they cannot make that work. And so they truly believe in standardizing on a stack, so that way they can reduce their costs while they're gaining market share, both through acquisitions, but then expanding post-acquisition as well. So just a laser-focused partner who's growing through M&A, but then every time they acquire, they consolidate, they create a standard stack, and if the customers don't want their stack, they will not keep that customer. That level of discipline that they drive to kind of increase their profitability, but increasing their average revenue per user. And final one of our favorites out of the North, as we call it in US, Canada. And they are an amazing, actually very similar to the previous story in some ways. They've also been in an acquisition path, growing really well because of that, so their employee size continues to grow. From the time I've known them, I think they've grown tremendously just by acquiring smaller partners throughout Canada as well, so to grow their footprint. And their whole focus is on managed services, right? So they were from one of the earliest adopters of kind of becoming a managed service provider, essentially. And very similar to the previous one in terms of focusing on the average revenue per user as well. And ultimately, everything that comes down to for them is around success based on the MRR, like they just track it every time. And one of the unique things they do is, I said that at the very beginning, this is the partner I had in mind. I said our best partners standardize. These folks are maniacal about standardizing on a stack. So right now they use, I believe, 3 of our products. They don't use Wi-Fi yet, trying to get them there. But they use NetSec, MFA, and Endpoint from us. And Andrew knows them well. Every, I think, 18 to 24 months, they go through a cycle. Right? They go through a cycle to evaluate everything in their security stack. And then either you win them or you lose them. But they're very disciplined about kind of evaluating what else they need to add, if they need to replace something. And once again, once they standardize, they don't walk away from that, right? So they will also, very similar to the previous one, will walk away from a customer if they felt that that wasn't going to win them from a profitable MRR perspective if they didn't have the recurring revenue opportunity after that. So amazing examples. And I think this is what I said earlier, right? When you think about success, it comes because of a few things, disciplined approach to go to market or even portfolio expansion. But it starts with agreeing on a very clear metric that you really care about and then driving everything behind it, as well. All right, I was going to say it's not going to be a Sean Price or sales presentation without talking about some tailwinds. But I'm not sure tailwinds translates really well in every culture, but it's the wind behind us to get us even further up in the sky and above and beyond. And so when we think about 2022, I started this off, just wanted to make sure everything you're seeing today is the focus on this mission, right? So I think just as I mentioned about the partners who succeed, I strongly believe that our success over the last several years is because of the same focus. Very clear things that we do and what we don't do, right? And I gave you the Panda as an example. When we acquired them, they were very regional in their structure, different go-to-market in every country. Within 60 to 90 days, we got it all harmonized around our strategy, right? And to me, that's the discipline we drive. And I think it's driven by that mission statement that you see. But it's also supported by just fabulous people. And these are just, we did a sales kickoff that was virtual. And because all our sales team could not be together, got some amazing pictures of them kind of in their home environment. But I just think it's an outstanding group of individuals who are here, who are there to just support you ultimately, right, as a partner community. And they're all focused on the opportunity we just talked about, right? To borrow Andrew's slide from earlier, right? It's all about these two trends. So when we ask our salespeople, we added new salespeople, that's what they're focused on as well, to kind of bring focus back to, this is why we'll succeed, and that's what they're focused on as well, along with us. But there are some tactical things to do, right? There's a lot happening for us in the marketplace. So if you kind of boil it down to what they're driving towards, the engagement, when you go and speak to our team here, these are some of the talking points, and they can talk to you about case studies across all of these things. Just some examples of that, right? I think our integrated endpoint solution with the rest of the portfolio that Andrew talked about to create this unified security platform, he gives a huge opportunity as people upgrade from basic antivirus or endpoint protection, moving up to kind of EDR-like capabilities. So how do you kind of do that? How do we help you displace? And that's what some of the opportunities are out there to discuss as well. Andrew already touched upon both Wi-Fi and MFA, right? I mean, Wi-Fi has created a huge opportunity for us both from a Wi-Fi 6 perspective, but also that now it's part of the same platform, right? A huge upsell to our NetSec customers and other customers as well, who are already adopted that, our WatchGuard Cloud platform to begin with. And, I think we have an amazing opportunity in front of us. Every few years, you get this opportunity to upgrade and have bigger discussions with your customers. And that's trading up to our latest and greatest hardware, but also our latest services as well. So tremendous opportunity to have discussions around, if they're using basic security, time to look at total security, especially how things have advanced in the last few years from our perspective, and they're getting an amazing value if they do so as well. And finally, it's a message we give to our sales team, so it would be remiss if I didn't give it to you. I mean, I mentioned in our KPIs, we look for our partners who are cross-selling. It is just as simple as that. And, if I give you just one stat, every quarter for the last 6 straight quarters, our percentage increase is just tremendous every quarter. And I think just around, as of Q1, almost 22 to 24% of our partners globally are now cross-selling. And it was at 14 just a few quarters ago. And our goal is to get that up as high as possible. Obviously, the partner base keeps growing, so the denominator keeps growing as well. So it's a percentage. At some point, it'll be hard to keep growing, but we want to get that to 50% and higher in the next couple of years. And so just to wrap things up, right, when I think about just the opportunity that we have talked about, this unparalleled opportunity, ultimately it's going to be what we can do with you. And I joined 7 years ago. Sean joined 6 years ago. Andrew was right in the middle of us. And all of us came from the same company. And we were focused on enterprise, right? Andrew probably could spell channel, but Sean probably did not even want to spell what channel partners meant. And we transformed everything around us. And I think you made us believe, right? It was such an amazing thing to see at WatchGuard, a company that was founded on 100% channel go-to-market. And it was an eye-opener for me and for the rest of the executive team to say, hey, look, we have this channel community with so many salespeople, so many outreach to the end customers. Let's go build upon that. And that's what we have kind of done. And I think that's what we are really, really excited about as well, moving forward, is that it gets down to you, ultimately. Right? I mean, you have the opportunity to kind of grow with us, but we have the opportunity to grow because of you as well. And that's really what the power of you, ultimately, we strongly believe is all about. And ultimately, when I think of that power of you, for you to succeed, for us to unleash you in the market because you are the front end of our sales force, what we are committing to you ultimately is that we would be very focused on being your one partner, one platform, one vision.
How do you defend against the threat landscape of tomorrow? Reimagine your cybersecurity with the security of one. One platform, one partner, one vision. WatchGuard's one unified security platform brings together 5 elements that stop threats and simplifies how you deliver and manage cybersecurity. With one partner, you streamline complex processes, reduce overhead, and get the support you need when you need it. Our one vision puts the needs of your business first. We believe in a future where cybersecurity technology is both powerful and simple, and where managed service providers save the world. Unleash the security of one, the one answer to protect your future. Go forward confidently with WatchGuard.
Je viens très rapidement pour vous annoncer un petit break qui va faire plaisir à tout le monde. Donc voilà, un petit break, donc on peut se détendre un peu, prendre l'air. Donc on revient dans 20 minutes.
Bonjour, vous allez bien? Quel enthousiasme! Vous allez bien? C'est mieux. Alors, j'aimerais vous demander, vous poser une question. Tout à l'heure, on a exploré un petit peu l'intelligence artificielle, l'automatisation. J'aimerais revenir à un point essentiel. À votre avis, quel est le système de sécurité, d'information le plus sécurisé au monde? Vous battez pas? Non? D'autres idées? Le système d'information le plus sécurisé au monde. Comment vous savez ça? Personne ne trouve. C'est vrai, le cerveau. Dans le cerveau, on retrouve quoi? De la data, de la connectique, l'inconscient, notre firewall. On retrouve tout. On a calqué le système d'information d'entreprise sur le fonctionnement humain. Eh bien, on va faire une petite expérience, vous allez voir, autour de 2 sujets maintenant. 1, le big data, la data, et 2, la cybersécurité. Est-ce que vous pouvez sortir vos téléphones? S'il vous plaît, sortez tous vos téléphones. Pendant ce temps-là, j'ai demandé un petit peu d'aide. Tout à l'heure, il y avait un petit panneau jaune qui a été repris, des notes jaunes. Si vous avez une feuille blanche ou la petite pochette jaune qui était là, ça m'aiderait. Si quelqu'un peut m'aider à trouver ça. Pendant que vous sortez vos téléphones, allumez les calculatrices, s'il vous plaît. Donc, si vous avez une feuille blanche ou la petite pochette jaune qui était posée juste là, ça m'aiderait. Vous êtes sur 0? Tout le monde est sur 0 sur la calculatrice, on est bon? Ouais. Alors, on va y aller. On va créer un nombre dans les centaines de mille. Eh ben, on va prendre la main pour prendre les notes. On va un peu improviser. Allez, tout le monde voit le chiffre qui est là. Restez à 0, d'accord? C'est le 1. Donnez-moi des chiffres entre 1 et 9, s'il vous plaît. 6. Restez à 0 pour l'instant. 1, 6, 8, 1, 3, 1, 5. Et je vais avoir à peine la place de faire le dernier. 7. Restez à 0, s'il vous plaît. Vous venez de créer ensemble 168 357. On est d'accord? Vous êtes à 0? Prêt? Tapez maintenant 65 042. 65 042. Plus 40 854. 40 854. On est bon? Plus 57 246. Plus 5 215 égale 168 357. On est bon, merci. Oh, ça réveille, ça réveille, ça réveille. On pourrait se dire, le gars calcule bien, ou il a des bonnes méthodes. Eh ben, on va aller un cran plus loin. Vous savez, finalement, le big data, c'est une question d'étape. Avoir une plateforme, quelque chose qui permette d'unifier, d'avoir un regard global, ça aide toujours. Et on va aller un petit cran plus loin. Est-ce que je peux emprunter votre téléphone? Yeah, ouais. Ça, c'est pas le mien, c'est le téléphone de monsieur. Je reste à 0. Rangez vos téléphones, s'il vous plaît. Vous pouvez tous ranger vos téléphones. Plus qu'un seul téléphone. Le vôtre, il ne va rien se passer, vous inquiétez pas. On n'aime pas trop passer son téléphone. Pour savoir qui va faire le tour avec moi très rapidement, tous les téléphones rangés, si je vous dis 48 plus 73, je n'ai pas été sympa. Je l'ai. Qui a dit 121, monsieur? Bah, venez avec moi, on peut l'applaudir. Ah oui, oui. Viens, venez, on peut l'applaudir. On y va. Ah ouais, si j'avais demandé qui veut monter sur scène, j'aurais eu personne. Votre prénom? Adrien, on peut se tutoyer, Adrien? Rapproche-toi, je ne mords pas, tout va bien, Adrien. Est-ce que, Adrien, tu peux penser maintenant dans ta tête à un nombre à 3 chiffres maintenant? Tu l'as? On recommence, 3 chiffres différents. 3 chiffres différents. Ne fais rien d'autre que taper tes 3 chiffres. Tape ton nombre dessus. C'est bon? Ah, ça s'est éteint. Ah oui. Face tracking. Yes, face tracking. On y va. Tape tes 3 chiffres. Dis donc, la veille, elle ne dure pas longtemps. Garde-le dans la main. Peux-tu taper la touche plus? Un autre nombre à 3 chiffres maintenant. Multiplié par un dernier nombre à 3 chiffres différents. C'est bon? Tu fais égal. Tu regardes ton résultat. On est bon? Tu la prends par cœur et tu le plaques contre toi. C'est fait, Adrien? On est bon? Regarde-moi. Tu peux essayer de réagir ou de ne pas réagir. Poker face, tu sais faire? Pas joker face, poker face. On est bon? On y va? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Je ne t'ai pas demandé avant, il y a 5, 6 chiffres, c'est vrai? Ah, c'est magique comment on récolte des infos. Est-ce qu'il y a 5, 6 chiffres? Et tu devrais dire oui, non, il dit 6, ça m'aide. 6 chiffres, c'est déjà une première étape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Tu vas lever la main chaque fois que je dis vrai, d'accord? Dans ton nombre, il y avait un 7. Levez la main, Adrien, quand c'est vrai. Dans ton nombre, il n'y avait pas de 6. Lève la main. Dans ton nombre, il y avait un 1. Je l'aide. Je suis le prompteur. Dans ton nombre, il y avait un 9. Il n'y avait pas de 8. Regarde-moi. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Il y a un 2. Il n'était pas sûr. Il y avait 2 2. Adrien, il y avait 2 2. Et là, on est bon. 2 2, 1 1, 1 7, 1 9. Il m'en manque 1. 0, 1, 2, 3. Le 0. Il cherche où est le 0. Il y est? Bah, lève la main. Alors, Adrien, ce qui serait dingue, j'ai trouvé les 6 chiffres, ce serait de donner les résultats dans l'ordre. Le résultat de l'opération que tu viens de taper avec son téléphone, si c'est vrai, est 270 912. Si c'est vrai, tu peux confirmer. C'est vrai, on va... Merci beaucoup, on va faire face tracking. Face tracking. 270 912, on est bon. Merci. On va continuer. Merci, Adrien, tu peux t'asseoir. On va aller un petit cran plus loin, finalement, deviner une information. Là, on comprend l'importance du MFA, on comprend l'importance de la cyber, du firewall. Vous comprenez tout ça maintenant? On va aller un cran plus loin. J'ai amené un petit jeu que vous connaissez. Ceux qui ont connu ça, l'apparition, levez la main. Un public âgé quand même aujourd'hui. Hein. Je l'ai connu aussi. Il y a 23 millions de combinaisons différentes dans ce Rubik's Cube. Je vais demander à une personne. Est-ce que tu veux bien le mélanger? D'accord. Ne le fais pas tomber, c'est déjà arrivé. Tu mélanges. J'aimerais que tu crées une combinaison unique, celle que tu veux, parmi les 23 millions de combinaisons possibles. Pendant ce temps-là, j'ai un second Rubik's Cube. Quel est ton prénom? Laetitia. Tu mélanges, Laetitia, et tu t'arrêtes quand tu veux, Laetitia. Comme tu veux, c'est toi qui es la boss. On est bon? On s'arrête là? Tu veux encore mélanger? C'est bon. 23 millions de combinaisons possibles, il y en a une que tu viens de faire là. Ce qui serait dingue, c'est que quand on est face à une attaque cyber, ou peu importe, on doit anticiper, on doit être capable de prédire quelle va être la prochaine attaque. Un peu comme un magicien qui, si on regarde bien les deux cubes, pourrait être capable de montrer que j'ai anticipé à l'identique les deux faces. Ça pourrait être de la chance. Ça pourrait être encore de la chance. On va continuer à regarder. Encore et encore. 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 Et encore. Première étape. Merci. Alors, être capable d'anticiper une attaque, c'est bien. Être capable de résoudre ça serait mieux, non? Qui dit nouvelle complexité? Car notre monde est de plus en plus complexe, on le sait, il est de plus en plus incertain, vulnérable, ambigu. Qui est capable de prédire ce qui va se passer dans 5 ans, 6 ans, 10 ans? Personne. Alors, qui dit solution complexe, dit problème complexe, dit solution innovante. J'ai amené un petit jouet ici. Vous allez pouvoir apprécier en temps réel. Vous voyez ce que je vois? Alors, face à ce défi, pour le résoudre, une des solutions pourrait être de créer un jumeau numérique identique à ta combinaison que tu as créée, d'accord? C'est toi qui l'as créée, celle-là. Si on regarde bien, on va être capable de créer une combinaison unique, un Rubik's Cube à l'identique. Je ne sais pas si on peut regarder les faces, mais normalement, il est complètement identique à celui que tu as créé. Je vais pouvoir, avec ce jumeau numérique, regarder les algorithmes, la data qui m'est proposée, pour essayer de comprendre comment le résoudre. Et avec ces informations-là, je vais pouvoir préparer, anticiper la solution pour ensuite le résoudre. Merci beaucoup. Merci à tous. Pour la suite de notre session, je vais demander à Pascal de revenir avec moi sur scène et à vous de l'applaudir bien fort. Merci.
Et là, il faut passer après ça. On n'est pas prévenu. Bon. On m'a dit de vous soulager les oreilles, donc je vais vous faire une petite présentation en français. Je vais essayer de vous donner un petit peu le contexte local France, parce qu'on a parlé beaucoup de WatchGuard dans son ensemble. Donc je vais prendre une petite vingtaine de minutes à vous parler un petit peu de ce qu'on voit en France sur la cybersécurité. On va commencer déjà par les résultats de WatchGuard en France pour que vous ayez un petit peu une idée. Et puis c'est parti. Déjà, j'aime bien rappeler mon équipe, puisqu'elle a un peu évolué dans le temps. Pour ceux qui me connaissent depuis un petit moment, ce slide a eu 2 photos à un moment donné, que 2. Donc là, ça a un peu évolué, puisque maintenant, dans l'équipe, nous avons 3 avant-ventes qui sont là aujourd'hui. Nous avons 2 inside sales, 4 channel account managers, une responsable marketing et un gars, on ne sait pas à quoi il sert, mais il est là. Toujours à votre service. Donc voilà, ici présent, donc l'équipe WatchGuard France, que vous pouvez applaudir, hein, qui est là pour vous accompagner. Et qui a permis de faire une jolie croissance de 22% en 2021. Donc pour vous donner une petite idée, le marché de la cyber en France, il est à peu près à 12% de croissance. Donc on gagne des parts de marché ensemble et ça c'est grâce à vous qu'on le fait. Donc merci. Et un petit graphe qui me tient à cœur, puisqu'il part de 1999, c'est le nombre de boîtiers en France, qui, comme vous pouvez le voir, ne cesse d'augmenter, augmenter. On parle des boîtiers actifs, hein, bien entendu. Pas juste des boîtiers qu'on a vendus depuis 1999, je précise. Donc effectivement, le nombre de boîtiers actifs ne cesse d'augmenter et plutôt pas mal. Donc ça aussi, c'est grâce à vous, donc encore merci. Alors, certains d'entre vous connaissent peut-être ces slides, parce qu'on les utilise beaucoup dans l'équipe pour vous donner des outils pour sensibiliser vos clients, parce que malheureusement, comme vous le savez aussi bien que moi, un certain nombre de clients au niveau des PME restent à se dire que tant qu'ils ne sont pas fait attaquer, ils vont rester comme ils sont. Donc on vous a mis à jour le slide de cette année, donc janvier à mai 2022. Donc mai, on est en plein dedans, donc on a encore besoin de le rajouter. On vous enverra les slides, c'est pas de souci. Et pour info, on a tout 2021 et 2020. Hein. Donc ce ne sont que des entreprises françaises hackées en France, avec un article de presse associé à chaque fois. Et sur le slide, si vous cliquez, vous avez l'article de presse qui va avec. En général, quand on montre ça à un client, ça fait un certain effet. Hein, alors le but n'est pas de la regarder aujourd'hui, mais juste pour vous dire que l'outil est, voilà, pour moi, ça c'est un outil de vente assez efficace. Et voilà, on continue à le mettre à jour, donc n'hésitez pas, quand vous voyez que vous êtes un petit peu en retard, que vous avez 6 mois de retard, en général c'est à jour et c'est très efficace. Ça donne bien un peu le ton, hein, de ce qui se passe en France depuis 2 ans. Vraiment, les attaques sont médiatisées, on en voit beaucoup, ça ne s'arrête pas. Alors vous voyez qu'avril a été un poil plus calme. Mais, je ne sais pas si l'un d'entre vous a l'explication, mais il paraît qu'il se passe quelques bricoles à l'est de l'Europe et ça occupe certains pirates russes à faire autre chose. Donc, ceci pouvant expliquer cela, ça n'est que temporaire. Mais vous voyez que ça n'empêche pas qu'il y a quand même des choses... je vois le département de l'Ardèche, ils ont pris bien cher aussi. Il n'y a pas que des clients qui se font pirater. Récemment, il y a l'équivalent de l'ANSSI française, mais donc pour les États-Unis, pour le Canada, pour la Nouvelle-Zélande, pour l'Angleterre, et je crois que j'en oublie, le Canada aussi, qui a publié des alertes sur ce qu'ils ont remarqué en ce moment. C'est que beaucoup de MSP sont ciblés par les pirates. Quand je dis récemment, c'est le 11 mai. On est le 17, si je ne m'abuse, donc c'était la semaine dernière. Donc, sécurisez-vous, ça tombe bien, il y a passeport à 1 centime. On a rajouté patch management et full encryption à 1 centime, donc il n'y a pas de raison. Sécurisez-vous en même temps que de sécuriser vos clients. Parce que si vous êtes piraté, vous servirez de rebond. Et ça, c'est déjà arrivé en France un certain nombre de fois, chez des partenaires que je ne citerai pas, mais c'est arrivé. Donc ça, c'est en ce moment. Bon, l'ANSSI fait ses alertes aussi. Là, j'ai utilisé celle du CISA parce que je l'ai trouvée assez détaillée. Vous pourrez aller le lire, hein, sur le site du CISA. Voilà, et donc en France, on a la même problématique. Les MSP sont attaqués pour une raison qui est simple, c'est qu'effectivement, s'ils y arrivent, c'est la porte ouverte vers des centaines de clients. Donc c'est exponentiel. Je ne sais pas si vous avez vu le rapport de l'ANSSI sur toute l'année 2021. Il est sorti il y a quelques temps. Il est récent aussi. Hein. Et pour moi, il y a 2 choses qui sont très importantes et qui sont révélateurs sur le marché français. La première, c'est que vous voyez, donc en haut c'est 2020, là c'est 2021. Vous voyez qu'en fait, sur la moitié des interventions de l'ANSSI, c'est de la PME. On pourrait se dire, ils n'y vont pas. En fait, la moitié des interventions de l'ANSSI, c'est de la PME. Si je rajoute à ça ce qui est en bleu, à savoir les collectivités, je pense que parmi vous, il y en a qui font des collectivités, et même beaucoup. On est à plus de 70% de ce qui est traité par l'ANSSI, qui est en fait sur notre segment de marché. Et donc on est attaqué. il y a une des explications que je déteste à ce phénomène, qu'on trouve très très souvent dans la presse, qui est c'est parce que la PME sert de rebond pour attaquer le grand compte. Et là, j'ai bien aimé le rapport de l'ANSSI parce qu'ils sont tout à fait objectifs. Et ce qu'ils indiquent, je vous l'ai mis à gauche, c'est que pour eux, les attaques restent principalement opportunistes et que le pirate cherche ce qui n'est pas sécurisé et qui va pouvoir lui rapporter de l'argent. Et je pense que ça résume un peu tout ce qu'on est en train de voir en ce moment depuis quelques années. Oui, il y a des attaques ciblées sur des Total, sur des Saint-Gobain, sur des choses comme ça, bien entendu. Mais ce n'est pas ce qu'on vit tous les jours et je ne pense pas que c'est ce que vous constatez également. Donc ça, dans le rapport de l'ANSSI, alors il est beaucoup plus complet, il y a plein d'autres choses intéressantes, mais je vous fais un petit résumé, je ne sais pas si vous l'aviez vu. Dans les choses intéressantes, vous avez aussi le rapport de la CNIL, pareil, sur toute l'année 2021 écoulée, qui note une hausse de 128% des notifications liées à des attaques, à des piratages informatiques. Donc ça grimpe, et donc ça continue à grimper très très fortement. Vous savez que normalement, quand vous avez une attaque informatique maintenant, avec la RGPD, vous êtes censé déclarer le vol de données. Et donc la CNIL en reçoit ces données-là associées. Donc vous avez un rapport que je vous recommande de lire, il est pas mal. Alors il y a d'autres choses intéressantes, comme par exemple comment se passe un contrôle de la CNIL. Je ne le connaissais pas, donc voilà, c'est expliqué dedans. Et puis sur ces piratages informatiques, ce que note la CNIL, c'est que 43% de ces attaques sont des rançongiciels, des ransomware. Du mal à utiliser le mot français, mais c'est vrai que c'est le mot français, rançongiciel. Donc voilà, un rapport aussi de la CNIL qui montre bien où on en est. Dernier rapport, et puis après j'arrête avec les rapports pour vous embêter. Tout le monde connaît le CESIN, c'est une association de cybersécurité donc, qui regroupe des entreprises qui justement veulent se sécuriser mieux. Et donc ils ont fait un petit sondage parmi tous leurs membres. Il y a différentes choses intéressantes dedans. Moi j'ai noté déjà le fait qu'une sur deux déclarait avoir subi une attaque. Et quand on parle d'attaque, c'est pas j'ai reçu un mail de phishing et j'y ai pas touché. Ça, ils ne le considèrent pas comme une attaque. Quand ils parlent d'attaque, ils parlent d'attaque ayant réussi, ayant porté. Et sur ces attaques-là, ce qu'ils disent, c'est que ce que déclarent les entreprises en question, c'est que 6 sur 10 estiment qu'il y a eu un impact sur le business. Ce n'est pas juste une attaque, il y a des attaques, on l'a réparé, il y a eu un vrai impact sur le chiffre d'affaires ou sur la production ou sur le côté industriel de l'entreprise, bref, sur le business que l'entreprise fait. Donc il y a vraiment des impacts colossaux de ce qui se passe en ce moment. Et voilà. Donc on arrive... pendant longtemps, je disais que beaucoup s'en moquaient. Je trouve quand même que depuis 2 ans, il y a quand même une prise de conscience, alors que j'appelle partielle, elle n'est pas totale. Hein. On tombe quand même sur plein d'entreprises qui vont vous dire la sécurité, ça coûte trop cher, ou je ne me suis jamais fait attaquer, donc ce que j'ai, ça me suffit, etc. Ça j'imagine que vous l'entendez aussi tous. Mais ce qu'on voit depuis peu quand même, c'est de plus en plus de PME, peut-être des belles PME, qui commencent à s'inquiéter vraiment de ces impacts business et se dire ok, on a des choses en sécurité, mais c'est pas assez. Il va falloir en rajouter. Alors, ça vient d'un certain nombre de choses. Hein. Tous ceux qui vont prendre une cyberassurance, par exemple, les cyberassurances vont pousser à mettre du MFA. Ça devient quasi obligatoire. Quand il y a de l'audit, les auditeurs vont pousser à mettre du MFA, à mettre de l'EDR, donc toutes ces technologies en plus. Quand quelqu'un se fait pirater, l'équipe de remédiation qui va venir sur site, la première chose qu'ils vont demander à mettre en place pour redémarrer le réseau, c'est du MFA et de l'EDR. Donc on est vraiment plein dedans si on veut aujourd'hui mettre le bon curseur de sécurité. Donc ce que je disais, hein, on le voit sur les grosses PME, et puis voilà, on espère que progressivement ça va continuer à descendre et que la prise de conscience va être la plus importante possible. On fait beaucoup de revues de configuration avec les avant-ventes, ce qui nous fait aussi dire que certains prennent plus conscience, c'est qu'on a de plus en plus de demandes. Alors des partenaires, ça on en a, mais aussi des clients finaux qui nous appellent en disant je m'inquiète un peu de ma config, est-ce qu'on peut regarder ensemble, est-ce qu'on peut regarder avec le partenaire, ou est-ce qu'on peut regarder. Donc ça c'est une bonne chose, c'est quelque chose qu'on a volonté de faire, hein, bien entendu. On peut le faire donc ponctuellement, on peut le faire à plus grande échelle sur une partie de vos clients. N'hésitez pas à revenir vers nous si vous souhaitez justement on va faire une passe sur vos clients et vous dire, bon, on va monter les bonnes pratiques, on va refaire une passe sur les configurations, on va remettre... je vais vous passer les détails de la technique, mais vous aurez assez de Jérémy qui vous dira mettez l'inspection HTTPS, vous n'en faites pas. Mais voilà, c'est le moment, vu qu'il y a de la prise de conscience, autant en profiter et autant monter les curseurs le plus possible. Ce que vous avez vu, ce que Andrew, ce que Prakash ont décrit sur le modèle MSP qui progresse chez les prestataires du monde entier, on le voit en France, on le constate. Alors pas chez tous les intégrateurs, bien entendu, mais clairement, on voit en France une forte augmentation des partenaires qui veulent faire du MSP sous différentes formes. Mais l'idée étant, on veut faire du service managé et c'est une nécessité à plusieurs titres. Une nécessité business, une nécessité pour bien faire de la sécurité chez nos clients. C'est vrai que le modèle où on va mettre le firewall, on va passer une fois de temps en temps pour revoir la configuration est peut-être plus suffisant si on veut mettre le niveau de sécurité là où il faut. Donc ça tombe bien parce que ça rejoint tout ce qui vous a été décrit aujourd'hui par Prakash et Andrew. Avec ça, une volonté de réduire le nombre de fournisseurs, parce que du coup, vous avez moins de consoles, vous réduisez les coûts d'exploitation, vous réduisez le coût des formations des équipes et les temps de formation des équipes. Donc c'est vraiment une optimisation dans un but unique, faire plus de business et surtout faire plus de sécurité et mieux la faire. Donc ça, on le voit, on le constate, et donc on est là pour accompagner là-dessus, donc n'hésitez pas à nous solliciter. On sera ravis d'en discuter avec vous. Dans ce contexte global, bien entendu, il faut accompagner cette montée en compétences et vous avez à accompagner cette montée en compétences aussi. Donc, pour rappel, certifiez-vous. Oui, je sais, je fais ma pub un petit peu, mais bon, il faut. Il y a les certifs commerciales, il y a les certifications techniques. Une technique que je tiens à mettre un petit peu en avant, c'est que de plus en plus, vous allez travailler avec le WatchGuard Cloud. Beaucoup ne s'y sont pas penchés. C'est-à-dire qu'ils ont des choses dans le WatchGuard Cloud, mais ne se sont pas formés dessus. On l'a vu. Vous avez une formation spécifique en ligne, gratuite, qui explique tous les tenants et les aboutissants du WatchGuard Cloud. Comment on l'utilise, ce qu'on peut en faire, les fonctions, etc. Et notamment, par exemple, la partie gestion des licences, inventaire dans le WatchGuard Cloud. Tout est déjà dans le Training Center. Pour ceux qui l'ont vu aussi, vous avez les formations qui sont de plus en plus en français. Donc la formation Fireware Essential, elle est en français, donc vous pouvez tout potasser en français, donc il n'y a pas la barrière de la langue. Donc si je ne dis pas de bêtises, le MFA est aussi en français et il doit rester l'Endpoint WatchGuard qui reste à franciser. Les certifs aussi le sont associés. Le but, c'est justement d'avoir le cycle qui soit disponible en français. Il y a les formations WatchGuard, mais ça ne suffit pas, il y a tout le reste à côté. Je pense que les clients en ce moment cherchent aussi de la crédibilité et d'être sûr d'être bien accompagnés. Donc n'hésitez pas à aller chercher les labels. Je sais que parmi vous, il y en a plein qui ont fait les démarches et qui les ont obtenus. Il y a le label Cyber Expert que j'ai mis là sur le slide, mais il y a plein d'autres choses. Il y a les formations de hacker éthique, il y a des choses plus générales sur la sécurité comme le CISSP. Donc il y a plein de choses qui sont disponibles aujourd'hui. N'hésitez pas justement à vous mettre ces cordes à vos arcs. Oui, c'est ça, en spawn. J'ai tendance à dire l'expression dans l'autre sens parfois. Dernière chose, on est sur le stand IT Partner. Bah oui, je fais ma pub, hein, forcément. Donc en juin, le 15 et 16 juin, on sera sur le stand K44. Le stand, j'ai entendu dire qu'il est magnifique. Vous ne pouvez pas le louper. Il faut venir le voir. Bon, nous aussi, il faut venir nous voir, mais voilà. Donc n'hésitez pas si vous voulez discuter, voir vos responsables channel, voir les avant-ventes. Il y aura 3 pôles de démo spécifiques. Donc si vous voulez à ce moment-là utiliser l'opportunité pour avoir des démos sur tel ou tel produit, on sera là pour vous sur le stand. Et puis voilà, merci pour vous. Ce qu'on va faire maintenant, c'est que je vais rappeler Prakash, Marc et Andrew. Et on va se mettre ici pour répondre à vos questions, donc faire le panel. Donc j'espère que vous avez préparé toutes vos questions, j'en attends plein. Et du coup, ne vous inquiétez pas, je vais faire le traducteur. Donc, sauf si vous voulez poser vos questions en anglais, aucun souci. Thank you for being here. Qui aurait une première question? Je sais que la première est toujours compliquée, mais sinon j'ai des questions que j'ai glanées un petit peu tout à l'heure. Vas-y. So, probably a question for you, Andrew. What's our plan for increasing our security integration with Office 365?
So one of the, when we talk about SASE, the Secure Access Service Edge, I think you go to the next level and the types of security services that we're looking for, and this fits both into OEM and our M&A strategy. In the top 3 is CASB and a Microsoft Office focused CASB. We really look at when we think about integrating CASB into the platform, we're almost entirely focused on an Office 365 solution there. So.
Okay. La deuxième. What's the plan for TDR?
TDR. So again, I wish I had the exact date in my head. Very soon, we start beta on sort of this next huge evolution of TDR and ThreatSync, and so we go into beta. I believe it's next month that we go into beta with that new version, and that with that comes a new host sensor that is replaced with Panda technology. It's replaced with a common client that can be upgraded from what we call EDR Core, which will be part of TDR, and you can upgrade that to WatchGuard EPDR. You can upgrade that to WatchGuard EPP, and all of those will feed in the same into ThreatSync. So you'll get the same telemetry into ThreatSync with TDR. And EPDR. So it really brings that platform story together. Super excited about it, and encourage everybody to participate in the beta and give us feedback. And again, this is a big investment area for us. So really excited about what's going on there.
Qui d'autre? Attends, on va te passer le micro du coup. Il va falloir que je la traduise.
On a pas mal parlé de MSP, et en général, les MSP utilisent souvent des outils comme des PSA pour gérer les process.
Mais le plus proche.
Est-ce qu'on m'entend?
Oui.
Donc, vous avez pas mal parlé des MSP. Donc, en tant que MSP, on a des PSA pour gérer notre business. Et la question que je me pose, c'est, on a bien vu l'évolution des produits WatchGuard pour avoir des dashboards et des panneaux de contrôle qui vont être plus sympas. Est-ce que vous gardez en tête de pouvoir vraiment bien en profiter pour les intégrer dans les outils qu'on peut déjà avoir, qui permettent de gérer l'entièreté de nos clients?
Comme Autotask, comme...
Autotask, exactement.
Okay. So, question is, how do I translate that? I hate you. Vas-y.
I heard WatchGuard and Dashboard.
And Autotask.
I'll give it a try in English. Most of MSPs use PSAs like Autotask to manage their business, and we already have all tools to manage our clients. We've seen that the WatchGuard Cloud and everything that's around is getting better. Are you focusing on APIs as well so that we can get all the information, all the tools, and use it in our PSAs?
Yes. So the PSAs are probably our most important integration, right? Because it's focused on you, not necessarily your customer. So it's the one that we focused on the most. I think the best. It's such a broad request, right? There's probably thousands of different types of information. I think the best thing to do is just, we could follow up. I could get kind of what type of information you think is missing, and then we can work with the team to prioritize that sort of information. But anything that is PSA related instantly goes to the top of the list, just because those are, again, the most meaningful integrations that we can provide for you. So I'd love to get more detail. Actually, on both topics, the threat sync topic as well, I just want to plug, there's a technical session tomorrow. Maybe you already mentioned it, but there's a technical session tomorrow. Great place to, they'll be going into much more detail on threat sync and TDR. Great place to ask, Jason will be on the call, and he's responsible for our APIs. Great place to go into detail there, but I'd need to get more information to kind of go to that next step.
Thank you.
Tu aurais pu la poser en anglais tout de suite. Hein. Ouais. Oui, j'en profite pour le rappel de la session de demain, technique. Si vous voulez des détails techniques, inscrivez-vous si ce n'est pas déjà le cas. Hein. Je prends une question qu'on a eue en ligne. Voilà. Je pourrais y répondre, mais je vais quand même la poser en anglais. The question is, when will subscription billing available in France?
I love that question. So, this has actually been sort of a pet project of mine for many years, and we've rolled it out in many geographies around the world. It's a lot of work because we do this very kind of tight integration with distribution in order to do it, and it creates a wonderful experience for you as the partner, right? It's all usage-based billing. It's all pay-as-you-go. It's all integrated. It's all API-based and integrated with WatchGuard Cloud, so completely automated. And the team here has been working hard for quite some time. There's contractual work and integration work to get that up and running. And the good news is we're right to the end of that. We should, starting July 1st or maybe even sooner, have two distributors running in France on subscription billing and supporting the entire product portfolio. So really soon.
Awesome.
Question ici.
Somebody needs to ask a question to Prakash.
Or Mark.
Or Mark.
It's very product focused.
Okay. On parlait tout à l'heure des labels, les différents labels qui existaient, là, notamment Expert Cyber, etc. Et on a cité l'ANSSI. Aujourd'hui, les guides de l'ANSSI sont accessibles à tout le monde. Et on a des clients qui commencent à les lire et qui voient des produits recommandés par l'ANSSI, en fait. Et on a tendance à se dire, ce qui est conseillé par l'ANSSI est bon, donc je regarde ce qu'il y a dedans. Mais vos produits WatchGuard ne sont pas cités dedans. Donc, est-ce qu'on les aura un jour ou pas? J'avais déjà posé la question il y a quelques...
So I'm sorry, Prakash, it's a question for me.
That's great. That's good.
That's also good. Yeah.
So, you want me to translate it in English for you first? Or
no, it's fine. It's fine. L'ANSSI, je fais la réponse gentille ou je fais la... On est en contact avec l'ANSSI en permanence, on y était il y a quelques semaines, donc on a fait un point là-dessus. C'est très très compliqué pour une société qui n'est pas française d'être qualifiée ANSSI, je parle bien de la qualification. Et pour pour te taquiner un petit peu, je te demanderai qui est qualifié en firewall ANSI aujourd'hui. Tu peux regarder, il n'y a personne. Non, non, c'est faux. Non, c'est faux. Storm Shield n'est plus qualifié. Non. Ah, vous pouvez tous vérifier sur vos téléphones, vous cherchez les produits qualifiés, il n'y en a plus. Oui, il l'était, bien sûr. Mais en ce moment, ils ne le sont pas. Donc, alors, rassurez-vous ou pas, ils vont le redevenir. C'est probablement une question de temps. Je ne sais pas ce qui s'est passé. Enfin, j'ai une petite idée, mais je vais pas me, voilà, je vais pas faire de suppositions ici. Mais il n'empêche que si on parle de firewall, il y a un firewall qualifié ANSI. Depuis toujours, il n'y en a toujours eu qu'un seul. Il n'y a pas d'autres éditeurs. C'est-à-dire des éditeurs qui font plus que nous en France ne sont pas qualifiés ANSI. C'est très très compliqué quand on n'est pas français. Donc on attend en fait avec impatience les certifs européennes et les qualifs européennes, parce que là l'ANSI est porteur aussi de ce projet-là et donc on le sera. Pour l'instant c'est pas encore prêt. Donc tu l'as dit pertinemment bien, ce sont des recommandations, ce ne sont pas des obligations. Il y a des obligations pour les OIV, mais si ce n'est pas des OIV, il n'y a pas d'obligation. Ouais. Alors, tu peux déjà choisir si c'est aux États-Unis ou en Europe. Ouais. Pour l'instant, c'est pas mal. Ouais. Donc là, quand tu choisis Europe, les données sont en Allemagne.
Et il y aura possibilité de les transférer ou pas?
Pourquoi tu voudrais transférer ça aux US?
Non, mais dans l'autre sens, si on a...
alors, pourquoi tu les enverrais aux US déjà dans un premier temps?
Si elles étaient aux US et qu'on veut les rapatrier, est-ce que c'est possible?
Je ne sais pas. I think it's a question for Andrew. I'm not sure.
I can answer.
Is this still the same question?
Yeah. The following, it's about where the data is. And the question is, if the data is in the US, is there a way to migrate to the cloud in Europe?
If it's there and you want to migrate. So, for GDPR compliance, we've been doing a lot in Europe and even building out our team so that even the operators for our European SOC, which is in Frankfurt, is all operated by GDPR adequate personnel. Is it possible, so you selected as a service provider, you selected the US for data originally, and you want to migrate that to the Frankfurt data center? I think the answer is maybe. We don't have an automated way to do it, but we've done a handful of manual migrations in the past, and it may be possible, but I can't really guarantee it. But have Pascal follow up with Jason and I, and we'll see if we can help you out. So it's a maybe.
Ok, je vais prendre une question en ligne. Do we have API to, how do I translate that? Do we have API to allocate MSSP points through API? We have API for WatchGuard Cloud and for many things. The question is for MSSP.
We don't today. Yeah. It's a great. We're looking at ways to automate MSSP points. We're even looking at kind of this combination. So you have subscriptions for MSSP points. So it's usage-based. Kind of think about usage-based points. So you only get billed for what you use. So we're looking at some changes there. Allocation of points. I don't think that's something that's on the roadmap today, but it's actually a great question. Great suggestion. Okay. And it's something we could look at adding.
Okay. Last question from online. When email security will be available to all partners?
Our current plan is end of Q3. So it may be September, October. I think is sort of currently. Kind of the trajectory that we're on. But as we get closer, you'll be hearing a lot more about it. So not too far off. Teams are working on it now.
OK. Une question?
Est-ce qu'il est prévu une version Fire Cluster des Firebox Cloud et une version extra small des Firebox Cloud?
Yeah, almost don't even need to translate that one.
OK.
Fire cluster in WatchGuard Cloud?
Yes.
Is that? So again, I would suggest tomorrow to have your team talk to Brendan in the technical session. He hears this one a lot. So I know it's very high on his priority list. Whether he has a date to commit to you, I don't know off the top of my head. But he can either tell you an exact date or kind of the priority of it. But it is one of the most frequently asked features in order to get migration of existing deployments. So.
And for extra small Firebox Cloud? It's
for what?
Extra small. More for for
extra small on cloud. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, that's a request we get a lot, to have a smaller size Firebox V or Firebox Cloud, smaller than the small.
Specifically asking about, because I know on V there's a lot of requests, and I know there's actually some work going on around Firebox V. Are you specifically asking about Firebox Cloud? So yeah, that one I'd have to go and look at. So.
Et je ne sais pas ce que je peux trouver comme super goodies à celui qui pose une question à Prakash. Mais
Or Mark.
On n'est pas là pour répondre qu'aux questions qui font plaisir.
Vous avez parlé en début de session du rachat, enfin du montée à l'actionnariat de fonds américains pour renforcer un peu les fonds de WatchGuard. Est-ce que l'entrée d'actionnaires comme ça au niveau de WatchGuard ne va pas finalement servir à plus rémunérer des actionnaires et moins faire d'innovation?
Oh. It's for you.
But it's kind of odd that it's like 99 people know it, or 97, and then 3 of are like, huh? What's going on over there?
Yeah, the question is with the change in the investors. Yep. Isn't the danger is that it will be used to give back more money to investors rather than invest in innovation?
No, it's the opposite. I mean, if they wanted more money, they would have left, because we had many other buyers. So they were not the only ones. So if anything, they actually put money back in, as you heard Sandy. So their whole point is to drive growth and even do bigger returns for themselves, many years out from now. So I think it's the exact opposite why they actually reinvested in the company. I should have shared that earlier, because we had, just because of the market we play in, we had a lot of interest from different investors, and they beat out everybody. So I think their interest is very high to just take it to a whole new level from a size perspective. Yeah. I don't know if that translates, but...
Vous avez besoin que je traduise ou c'est à peu près bon? Donc la réponse est non. C'est le contraire. Donc... non, mais c'est vraiment, justement, je pense qu'il voulait la main pour pouvoir innover et nous faire innover au maximum. Donc, c'est vraiment ça le sens. C'est pas un nouvel investisseur. C'est un qui était déjà là et qui en veut plus, en fait. Donc, what is the part of France in the WatchGuard business?
We had this discussion last night, didn't we?
Yeah, we had.
No, I think. Look, I don't know if this. We don't share all this publicly. Just first, let me kind of set the stage. For us as a company now, I think U.S. is about 35%, 37% of our revenue. Europe is 45 to 7%. So Europe is bigger for us compared to even U.S. as a company, and within that, Southern Europe is the highest. So right now, Southern Europe higher than Northern and Central Europe. right, for us. And France is doing well. I mean, Pascal has some catching up to do to at least one.
I'm doing almost 1/3.
But exactly, I mean, it's a really good region for us. Obviously, very, very high priority to kind of grow. And I think the team's done an awesome job to grow. So actually, I should have said it's not just the highest within Europe, Southern Europe, Spain, Italy, and France combined. It's also the highest growing at this point. So which is really good place to be. And that's why I say, for us I was mentioning how we're very diversified. So when you look across WatchGuard, right, we have a very diversified customer base and partner base across the globe. But obviously, Europe is a very significant piece of the business.
Mais il y a encore de la place pour vendre plus en France. Beaucoup. Je dis, il y a encore de la place pour faire plus de parts de marché en France. Hein.
Donc normalement, WatchGuard, c'est 100% de channel. Mais, donc les produits WatchGuard sont censés être 100% de channel. Mais on se rend compte qu'on peut en trouver sur des marketplaces de temps en temps. Donc c'est forcément au travers de partenaires. Est-ce qu'il est prévu de faire quelque chose pour faire cesser ce genre de pratique?
I think, yeah, it's for you. The fact you find fireboxes on different marketplaces, it can be problematic for the business.
Look, I think I get that, right? We're also open distribution, so that creates that challenge, for us every now and then. But look, our focus is just on the partner community anyway, right? We don't do anything special for any of the folks who can get there, right? Our focus is on the partner community, all the resources that Mark has, and the sales team is completely focused on driving the partner community. So, but obviously we can't prevent it either completely. We try different techniques that Mark and the team use to make sure we control it, but because it's open distribution, it's hard to completely remove the marketplace element of it. But I don't know, Mark, if you want to add anything to that.
What we do try and do is track pricing. I want to see where pricing lies. I know generally where we are from a price standpoint with our partners. I know what your discounts are, of course, as part of the program. So I'm always checking to see just exactly where the marketplace resellers are on their price, and two, do they have the product? So we actually try to buy product, and we will find that very often they don't have it. We may find on rare occasions that there's a partner that might be selling to, I know where you're thinking, so. All right? Yeah. We track where those go because we know the serial number. We work with the distributor, find out where it went. Yeah. So those are the things we try to shut down. Now, as Prakash said, it is open distribution. So unless we went completely closed distribution, we would never eliminate that. You may still have that same issue where someone is selling sideways. Yeah? However, as I talked about some of the programmatic pieces for MSPs, we may be looking at solutions that are in a closed distribution environment within that space. So you will see that some of the products that can be sold through open distribution will not exist in the future.
And that's a great point. I mean, that's one of the things we're definitely looking to enhance the program that you mentioned earlier.
I mean, it's okay to find products on marketplaces, but it's only an issue if the price is low. If the price is not so low, it's okay for us.
It's great if the price is high and you're better. Yeah. I mean, it's great branding, right? So, yes, you are absolutely correct. We will always look at where the pricing is because that's the first indicator of what's going on.
Right.
Yeah. But let us know.
I was about to say.
I think there's no guarantee we can do anything about it, but it's really good for us to have awareness. If we see abuse, we can track it down. So.
And very often, it's just a matter of putting either the marketplace or the marketplace reseller on notice that we're looking, and that usually takes care of the problem.
Yeah, definitely let us know. As if you see something obvious that we can.
Et je rajoute la réponse locale. Quand ça arrive, n'hésitez pas à nous contacter. On regarde, on aide. On ne se laissera pas voler du business par les Italiens. Ah oui, c'est quelque chose qu'on traque. Il n'y en a pas énormément. Moi, je sais le chiffre parce qu'on sait où sont les clients. Donc, du coup, je sais quelle portion ça représente. Aujourd'hui, en France, ça représente une portion infime. Donc, c'est quelques cas par an. Souvent, c'est plus le client qui veut faire le lièvre avec ça qu'autre chose. Mais en fait, il n'a pas forcément envie d'acheter là-dessus, mais voilà, il essaye de gratter. Donc, mais effectivement, oui, on contrôle. Question?
Any more questions for Andrew? Just kidding.
Bonjour. Alors j'avais une question sur la partie. Alors on parlait d'approvisionnement, de vente, c'est sur l'augmentation des prix et les risques d'inflation. On parle beaucoup aujourd'hui par rapport à la Russie, problème de guerre en Ukraine, et par rapport à l'approvisionnement des produits. Quelle est votre vision à moyen terme ou à long terme sur l'approvisionnement des produits WatchGuard et sur les risques d'augmentation de prix?
So what about the supply chain issue, the price increase in the midterm? What do you foresee to be? What are going to be issues on price increases and stuff like that?
I'll start and then Andrew can jump in on a few things. So first of all, I think, look, hats off to our team overall. They have done a really good job of keeping the supply going, which I know a lot of the other vendors have struggled with. And that's taken a lot of effort. And the effort translates into down to component level details that our team gets involved with to make sure we can procure things ahead of time, but also design changes in the product if needed to make sure we keep up, the way the supply has been kept up. We definitely have borne a lot of increases already as a vendor because we've had to pay premium for some of the components then, at very inflationary prices. So we've kind of done our best, and obviously you've seen some prices go up tied to that in some areas, like we did tabletops at the beginning of the year. So we have tried to keep it in line where we can, but try to absorb the rest on our own. And I don't know if Andrew, you want to address something with the future as well, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were hoping it would be better towards the second half of this year. When things get shut down in Asia and there's raw materials in Russia that are causing supply chain issues, and I think it's going to continue for some time, maybe another 6 to 12 months, and but some of the costs of components are going up permanently. They're not, we have the one-time increases. But component costs are going up, labor costs are increasing, and it does impact the cost of the products that we sell, and so we're doing our best to manage it, but occasionally we do have to pass that along, and hopefully it doesn't impact your businesses, and that your customers understand that that it needs to get passed along all the way to the end customer. So.
Yeah, and I think the components, the mostly impacts, are Wi-Fi and the tabletop. Tabletop appliances
with wireless
with
tabletops,
right, are probably the highest impacted at this point. But so far so good. I think we're going to try to keep the pace and see how hopefully things improve in early 23.
Une dernière question peut-être? Non? Oui?
Merci. Sur le produit Dark Web, j'ai mal compris le périmètre de tout votre produit. Donc, est-ce que vous pourriez nous en dire un petit peu plus aussi, au niveau de la protection des mots de passe, des identifiants, jusqu'où est-ce que vous allez dessus?
The question is, can you re-explain where we go on the dark web products, what we do, what we can do, what we will do?
Yeah, so today in WatchGuard Cloud, we have the ability for you, it's intended to be a sales tool for you for multi-factor authentication, is you can do a domain search for passwords available on the dark web and have that sent directly to your customer. That list, a very detailed report, sent directly to the domain owner. It has to be a registered domain owner. And it's really eye-opening for anybody who sees that. And when you see your corporate passwords, recent ones on the dark web, it's a fantastic sales tool for MFA, for AuthPoint. So we offer that in WatchGuard Cloud as a free service. So go in there and use it. It's available to you. As part of total identity security, we're including a monitoring service. So what I just described is a one-time search, right? You put a domain in, and it gives you a result. That report goes to the customer. Monitoring does the same thing, but it does it on an ongoing basis. You know, every week there are new passwords that end up on the dark web. And so what this will do is it'll instantly alert your customers that are a customer of Total Identity of new password leaks that contain usernames from their domain. And it'll do that again, you know, as soon as they're available on the dark web. We do our best to get access to those and then report those out to the customers. So those are the investments that we're making in that product.
Ok, donc vous n'allez pas jusqu'aux identifiants que l'on trouve sur les applications web. Donc c'est vraiment sur le nom de domaine, sur les adresses mail.
C'est tout type de login qu'on retrouve dans les bases du dark web, donc ça peut être différents outils, ça peut être des sites web aussi en fait. I'm answering.
Thank you.
On peut rediscuter après pour clarifier si c'est pas encore assez clair. No more question. Do you want to add something, Prakash, or do you want me to wrap up?
No, I think it's been fun to be here together. I know there's more fun planned still ahead, from what I understand.
The fun is after.
Fun is really after, yeah. But seriously, I think this is an exciting time for us at the company, and you know everything you've heard today is what we're executing on. As soon as we get back, Andrew and I, we have another meeting with our the existing investors, but doubling down on us, and to think about the next 3 to 5 year plan. So I think it's just exciting times, and I really hope in the next 12 months, you'll see some of the impact of that, but definitely in the next 24 months, you definitely will see as we put those things together. So we welcome the feedback throughout as we go through the planning as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Merci à tous.
All right. Thank you very much.
Rebonjour à tous. Je ne sais pas si vous connaissez, est-ce que tout le monde a un iPhone, un iPad, un smartphone? Levez la main si vous l'avez. Ouais. Mais le monde n'a pas toujours été si connecté. Rappelez-vous, dans les années 80, on avait la mire, vous l'avez connu? Cette douce invitation qui nous invitait à nous déconnecter. Alors c'est vrai qu'à l'époque, les téléphones ressemblaient à ça. Il fallait tourner un cadran plusieurs fois, juste pour appeler un pote. Ça pouvait être long. On l'a connu? Pas se mentir. Heureusement ou pas, tout a changé, vous savez, en 2007, quand on a connu l'iPhone. Tout a vraiment changé, on a appelé ça le ATAWAD, Anytime, Anywhere, Any Device. On était connectés avec tout le monde de n'importe où. Et ça change tout quand même quand on y pense. D'ailleurs, Steve Jobs, quand il a sorti l'iPhone en 2007, il a dit cela.
Which is phenomenal. It works like magic.
Et c'est vrai que c'est magique. Rappelez-vous, pendant la Coupe du Monde, il y a 4 ans, on l'a tous regardé, goal, de n'importe où dans le monde, peu importe où on était. Deschamps, attendez, j'ai un appel. Puis on va un petit SMS. Voilà. Alors que dans les années 90, en 98, quand on voulait communiquer avec nos copains, c'était plutôt comme ça. Rappelez-vous, on va remonter un peu le temps. Vous vous rappelez comment on faisait un smiley à l'époque? C'était comme ça. Hein. Et ça, c'était la première étape. Après, il fallait l'envoyer à la poste. Vous vous rappelez, c'était comme ça. C'était long. Alors qu'aujourd'hui, je peux commander le matin et être livré le soir même. Tout va plus vite, merci. Alors, même l'ancien président des États-Unis, Trump, communiquait par tweet. Bon, jusqu'au jour où on l'a censuré quand même. Alors moi, je me dis une chose. Je me dis une petite chose. C'est que si... ça n'a rien à voir. Si le digital et le mobile, la convergence des deux a changé nos vies, imaginez maintenant, encore une fois, comment l'intelligence artificielle et l'automatisation va tout changer. On va faire une petite expérience. Vous vous rappelez de l'expérience tout à l'heure avec le hacking des cerveaux? On y va? Je vais avoir besoin de 3 mains levées pour participer à l'expérience. Aucune main levée. Oh si, 2 volontaires d'un coup, chouette. Il en manque un 3e parmi vous. Vous avez désigné monsieur? Eh ben, venez avec moi alors. On peut les applaudir tous les 3. Venez, venez, venez. Venez, venez, venez avec moi. C'est vrai. Alors, on va faire une petite expérience ensemble. Hop, cela. Alors, vous avez été volontaires tous les 3, n'est-ce pas? Quel est votre prénom? Fabien, on peut se tutoyer, ouais. Fabien, ton prénom? Amadou, on se tutoie également. Fabien, Amadou et Damien. Fabien, Amadou, Damien. On va faire une petite expérience tous les 3. Je vais vous demander d'avoir une information en tête chacun. On va commencer avec toi, Fabien. Il y a ici un jeu de cartes, c'est ce qui est le plus classique. Je vais te demander de me dire stop quand tu veux. Tu peux t'arrêter ou continuer. Pas celle qu'on a vue, on est d'accord? Regarde à la carte. Tu la gardes contre toi, tu la dis à personne, d'accord? Tu la vois? Amadou, j'ai ici plusieurs capitales européennes. Est-ce que tu pourrais me les dire à voix haute? Ouais, ça va vite. Il y a toutes les capitales européennes. Pourrais-tu lever le carnet et en regarder une seule? Tu regardes une. Tu l'as vue? Tu l'as en tête? Vous avez chacun une information en tête. Tu as une carte, Fabien, tu as une capitale. À nous deux. Tu aimes la musique? Ouais. Tu as un téléphone avec toi? Ton téléphone avec toi? Ah bah voilà. Est-ce que tu peux aller le récupérer, s'il te plaît? On va faire une petite expérience ensemble. Je me mets un petit chrono. Est-ce que tu pourrais aller sur le site genius.audio? G-E-N-I-U-S. G-E-N-I-U-S.audio. T'as pas de réseau? C'est pas sérieux. T'as pas de 5G? T'es en quelle année? T'y es? Genius.audio? Genius.audio. Non, dans l'URL, tape genius.audio. T'as pas Chrome? Quelqu'un a... Ah bah voilà, tu vas voir, comme ça tu vas tomber direct dessus, genius.audio. Et pendant ce temps-là, pendant que tu tapes ton site, je vais te demander de penser à une chanson que tu aimes bien. Ne le dis pas encore. Tu l'as en tête, tu vois, c'est un site de paroles de chansons. Il y a toutes les paroles des chansons, tu vois, par exemple, si tu cliques sur celle-là, tu as les paroles. Tu as une petite loupe sur ce site, c'est le vrai site. Tu peux cliquer sur cette petite loupe, s'il te plaît, et tape l'artiste, le nom de l'artiste que tu as envie. C'est fait? Bon, il faut que je mette la calculatrice. Tu as l'artiste ou pas? Est-ce que tu peux choisir une chanson parmi celles qui sont proposées? Tu l'as? Ok. Oui, clique sur ta chanson. Tu vas regarder les paroles. Tu vas penser à un mot assez long dans ta chanson. Et après, on arrêtera là. Un mot à 5-6 lettres minimum. Tu l'as en tête? C'est vrai? De penser? Tu l'as en tête? On est bon? Allez, je me laisse 30 secondes pour deviner ce que tu as en tête. On va après trouver ton information, Amadou, et après la tienne, Fabien. 30 secondes, c'est parti? On y va? Allez, go. Dans ton mot, il y a... J'hésite entre un A. Merde, c'est mal barré. Un E, c'est peut-être plus classique. Un R, je vais m'arrêter là parce que j'ai jamais. Un B, oh, je crois que je l'ai. Regarde, je vais arrêter le chrono tout de suite. 22 secondes. Non, je suis pas sûr, il y a trop de mots. Rendu là, est-ce que l'homme, dans sa capacité à deviner toutes ces informations, est capable de trouver une chanson choisie au hasard dans un site qui existe, une capitale parmi une 27 dans l'Union européenne, une carte parmi 52, c'est un peu complexe. Et si finalement, je me faisais un peu aider, si quelqu'un a Google Assistant, vous pouvez le sortir, sinon je prends le mien. Je vais prendre le micro également. Quel temps fait-il aujourd'hui? Bon, il va pleuvoir, on est mal barré. C'est Google Assistant, d'accord? Je veux parler avec le voyant du net. Attention, mise en scène.
Bonjour, je suis le voyant du net. Comment vas-tu?
Bien, et toi?
Moi, je suis toujours au top et à ton service. Que veux-tu faire?
Pourrais-tu m'aider à deviner ce que Fabien, Damien et Amadou ont en tête?
Oui, je peux t'aider. Que veux-tu que je devine?
J'aimerais que tu devines la carte et d'abord concentre-toi. Pendant ce temps-là, Fabien va compter de l'as au roi et pique cœur carreau trèfle après. Tu vas voir. Tout se passe très bien. Attends. Trop d'informations à traiter en même temps.
J'ai comme une intuition. Je vois le 8 de cœur. Que veux-tu que je devine maintenant?
On est bon? Concentre-toi.
Je ne suis pas sûre d'avoir compris. Peux-tu répéter s'il te plaît?
Concentre-toi.
Je me concentre.
Dis 5 capitales européennes, dont la tienne, ou 6.
Paris, Londres, Lisbonne, Madrid, Rome.
Je suis prête. Que veux-tu savoir?
Quelle est la ville?
Je pense que c'est Madrid. Est-ce que je peux encore t'aider?
C'est vrai. Quel est le nom de l'artiste que Damien aurait choisi?
J'ai l'intuition que c'est Hikaru Utada. As-tu encore besoin de moi?
C'est vrai. Quel est le nom de la chanson qu'il a en tête?
Là, j'ai une grosse fatigue. Je n'ai plus envie de répondre.
Première fois que j'ai ça, je vous jure. Quel est le nom de la chanson?
Là, j'ai une grosse fatigue. Je n'ai plus envie de répondre.
Je vous jure. Première fois qu'elle me dit ça. Quel est le mot qu'il a en tête?
Là, j'ai une grosse fatigue. Je n'ai plus envie de répondre.
L'IA me trahit. On va la lancer alors. Première fois qu'elle me dit ça, je vous jure, c'est impressionnant. On recommence. C'est dingue ça. Tu peux quitter. On est fâchés maintenant. Je veux parler avec le voyant du net. Première fois que l'IA me dit j'ai une grosse fatigue, je vous jure que c'est vrai.
Bonjour, je suis le voyant du net. Comment vas-tu?
Bien, et toi?
Moi, je suis en pleine forme. Tu as besoin de moi?
Pourrais-tu m'aider à deviner le mot de Damien?
Oui, je peux t'aider. Que veux-tu que je devine?
Quelle est la chanson qu'il a en tête?
Là, j'ai une grosse...
Non. Tant pis, on va arrêter là. Est-ce que tu avais choisi le 8 de cœur? Oui. Est-ce que tu avais choisi Madrid? Ne dis pas ton mot. On se reparle tout à l'heure. On lui redemande. Merci encore, Julie de Mondé.
Là, j'ai une grosse fatigue.
Oh oui, j'ai une grosse fatigue. Tout d'abord, merci à tous. Merci à tous d'avoir répondu présent à cet événement qui réunissait notre équipe dirigeante que nous n'avons pas si souvent l'occasion d'avoir avec nous en France. Et je voulais juste vous dire que la partie studieuse vient de se terminer, mais la partie festivité commence. Dans 15 minutes, la croisière démarre pour 1 heure avec bar de jazz, bar à huîtres, Sam. Peut-être qu'elle aura une grosse fatigue encore, je ne sais pas. Voilà, merci à tous. J'espère que vous en avez retiré le meilleur. On est évidemment à votre disposition pour la suite. Et avec plaisir, nous vous donnons rendez-vous là-haut. Merci encore.